Chapter 30. Inside Gilgamesh's dormitory. Gilgamesh had been in a bad mood ever since he defeated the bull of heaven. Enkidu brought a plate of fruits and placed it in front of Gilgamesh. Enkidu looked at the depressed Gilgamesh and couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong, Gil? You've been like this ever since you defeated the bull of heaven." Gilgamesh picked up a piece of fruit and bit into it. Wuming was the one who took the credit for defeating the bull of heaven, but in the end, he let me receive the cheers of the people. If it wasn't for the Uruk, I wouldn't have accepted this kind of stolen credit. Enkidu sat next to Gilgamesh and held her hand. "So you know it's for the Uruk people. Look, I even showed my face. But I'm the hero king. How can I accept this kind of fake honor? Gilgamesh is such a tsundere." Enkidu thought to himself. "Actually, this is your honor. Think about it. Lord Wuming is now inseparable from you. You're bound together for good or ill. It can be said that the two of you are now united. Don't you feel happy?" Enkidu asked with a smile. "Yes, Lord Wuming. Together. Who wants to be with him? But if you think about it carefully, for the sake of the Uruk, I'll reluctantly accept it." Wuming, Sama was right. Gilgamesh is indeed the easiest woman to deal with in the entire Uruk. Enkidu thought, "Oh right, where's the bull of heaven's corpse? Where did Wuming put it?" Gilgamesh asked curiously. Master Wuming said that the sky bull's body is full of treasures. According to Master Wuming, the corpse of the sky bull has been sealed with a magic scroll for future use. Enkidu said as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. "Why didn't I realize that Lord Wuming was so thrifty? By the way, Enkidu." "Yes. What's wrong, Gil?" As he spoke, Gilgamesh opened the gate of Babylon behind him, or rather, the gate of Babylon, and reached his hand into it as if he was groping for something. A moment later, a silver chain appeared in Gilgamesh's hand. "The chain is... Here your stuff." After all, it was a chain forged from a part of Enkidu's body, so Gilgamesh believed that its owner was Enkidu. However, in this situation, Enkidu only smiled and pushed his hand away, rejecting Gilgamesh. "This is the proof of our friendship. It belongs to you, Gil." Gilgamesh also smiled. "I knew you would say that. However, this chain is more useful to Wuming, so I've decided to give it to him." Gilgamesh's words stunned Enkidu. That's right, as the origin dragon, Lord Wuming will definitely have countless adventures in the future. As a divine weapon, Enkidu will definitely be very useful. "Gil, take this, Enkidu. As for Master Wuming, I'll think of something." As he finished speaking, Enkidu's gaze became firm. Gilgamesh seemed to have noticed something. After a moment of silence, he sighed. "You've decided." A few days later, Ishtar drove the heavenly ship Anna to the Hyunryong Palace once again. However, this time, Ishtar's attitude was very respectful. Although Enkidu did not like Ishtar, she still came to Wuming respectfully. Enkidu led Ishtar to the Hyunryong statue. "Master Hyunryong, even if you win this time, can you return the corpse of the heavenly bull to me?" An unnatural smile appeared on Ishtar's beautiful face. However, even if it was a forced smile, Ishtar was still a goddess of beauty. The figure of the Hyunryong statue appeared. "You know, I've been hungry for a long time. Now that I saw such a big guy, I was excited and ate it." Sorry. Wuming said with a "I'm not full yet" expression. "You really know how to joke, Master Hyunryong. However, there's something I have to tell you. Enkidu is my father's child, so..." Ishtar smiled mysteriously. Then she immediately flew away from the Hyunryong sacrificial palace on the heavenly ship Anna. The dragon figure changed, and Wuming landed on the ground. Wuming looked at Ishtar's back as she left. He could not get over it for a long time. Could it be that the gods are going to attack you, Enkidu, who was standing at the side, only smiled calmly after hearing this. That beautiful face made Wuming feel like he was a god. "Master Wuming, don't worry. Although I'm still a divine weapon created by the gods, because of you, I've become the human girl Enkidu." Enkidu leaned close to Wuming and hugged him. "Enkidu is willing to become the heavenly lock and accompany you. Please forgive my willfulness, Master Wuming." After a while, Wuming also hugged Enkidu. You're such a silly girl. Gilgamesh stood outside the Hyunryong palace with his back against the wall. He looked at the sky. I wish you happiness, my friend. 3 days later, the gods used the chain used to subdue the heavenly bull for Enkidu. Gilgamesh and Hyunryong were essential figures in the Uruk. They decided to punish Enkidu by turning her back into dirt and returning her to the earth. Ever since the Uruk high priest Enkidu disappeared, the newly appointed high priest Du Shili discovered that there was an additional silver chain on the stone statue of Hyunryong. Because the stone statue was lifelike, and the silver chain made it look even more lively. Because of the pain of his friend's departure and the revelation given by Hyunryong, the Uruk king Gilgamesh abandoned his people and began his journey to find the immortal grass of immortality. After going through untold hardships to obtain the immortal grass, he was eaten by a snake because of his carelessness. King Gilgamesh was enlightened and returned to the Uruk, which was still prosperous because of Hyunryong's protection. He focused on governing the Uruk and died a good death. Hyunryong also protected the Uruk until the connection between the people and the gods was severed. In the end, the people abandoned Hyunryong. Hyunryong also abandoned the humans and left the Uruk. In the end, the Uruk dynasty was destroyed. The legend of the origin dragon, Uruk Hyunryong, began in a new place. Chapter 31. A huge dragon was flying in a colorful passage. A silver chain was wrapped around the dragon's arm. The wedges on both ends of the chain were swinging freely. While the dragon was flying, it noticed an unusually small energy source that was moving forward. Out of curiosity, the dragon rushed toward the energy source. What entered its sight was an energy ball. What's this? Wu Ming asked curiously. At the same time, Wu Ming's huge dragon claw grabbed at the energy source. Anyway, with the strength and characteristics of the root dragon's body, Wu Ming was not afraid of the space-time turbulence or space-time strangulation. Hence, Wu Ming boldly grabbed at the energy ball. Just as Wu Ming's dragon claw was about to touch the energy ball, it was as if the energy ball had reached its destination. A space-time door appeared in front of the energy ball. Usually, the space-time door would only appear when a certain existence reached a certain destination in the space-time tunnel. Just like when Wu Ming first came into contact with the space-time tunnel when he first crossed over to the country of shadow. That was also the entrance to the space-time tunnel. However, it did not open the space-time door. Instead, it sucked Wu Ming in. If nothing went wrong, this energy ball would enter the door. Interesting, Wu Ming's claw reached out and grabbed the energy ball. The energy ball seemed to have no consciousness. It followed Wu Ming's claw and slowly fused with Wu Ming. At the same time, a stream of knowledge-like memories surged into Wu Ming's mind. This is a game? Wu Ming was slightly surprised. After all, I've encountered such a strange thing. How can I not take a look? With that, Wu Ming entered the space-time door that opened and disappeared. Then, the space-time door closed as if it had never existed. Wu Ming opened his eyes. What entered his eyes was a huge hall. The hall was mainly dark. Flags of different designs were hung high on the ceiling. The top and the sides were covered with crystals that acted as light bulbs. Wu Ming was facing a huge, gorgeous door. A red carpet extended all the way to his feet. At this moment, Wu Ming was sitting on a crystal throne in his human form. The back of the throne extended all the way to the roof. The throne was on a platform with 3 steps. The carpet climbed up the steps to Wu Ming's throne. Below the platform stood an old man who looked like a butler. Behind him stood 6 maids in combat attire. Next to the throne, next to Wu Ming, there was a woman wearing a long white dress that covered her feet. There was a spiderweb-like golden silk ornament on her chest and white silk gloves on her hands. Her beautiful black hair reached her waist, and there was a pair of white curved horns on both sides of her head. She looked like a demon, and there was a pair of black wings at the back of her waist. Wu Ming happened to recognize this creature. It was obviously a succubus. Seeing Wu Ming looking at her, the succubus smiled and asked, "What's wrong, Sir Wu Ming?" However, the smile on her face made Wu Ming feel awkward. He felt like he was being stared at. "I feel a slight fluctuation outside the underground tomb of Nazalek." Inform all the guardians to gather here tomorrow at this time. After that, Wu-ming got up and walked to the door. Yes, Sir Wu-ming. The succubus smiled at Wu-ming. You can do whatever you want with the rest of the time. Yes, Sir Wu-ming. This was the answer from the rest of the people in the room. Creak. The heavy door was pushed open. Wu-ming opened the door in front of him. Then let me calm down first. Following the data stored in his mind, Wu-ming came to a room. When he opened the door, he saw a luxurious royal bedroom. Wu-ming flew and threw himself on the luxurious bed in front of him. This is giving me a headache. What Nazalek, Yggdrasil, completely virtual reality game. The unknown energy ball that Wu-ming came into contact with in the time tunnel was actually a guild stronghold in a virtual reality game invented by humans in another world. The name of the guild was Nazalek's Underground Tomb. Because of the shutdown of the server, the guild leader guarded it alone until a second before the server shut down. Due to an unknown accident, the guild brought the soul of the human to this world. Because of Wu-ming's accidental contact, the soul of the human was repelled and sent back to the original world. Wu-ming replaced him and came to this world. Let's not talk about the power of this world first. I'm very curious about what interesting things will happen when the game transforms into a physical object. For example, even if the resurrection was considered a miracle in the world of the moon, it should be very common in the game. Then, what will happen when the game transforms into a physical object? Wu-ming turned around and patted his arm. Enkidu, are you okay? A silver chain appeared on Wu-ming's arm, flashing with a faint golden light. Yes, Master Wu-ming, I'm fine. I didn't expect to be able to travel with you. This chain was Enkidu's transformation. Previously in Uruk, Wu-ming used the Lune runes and his own transformation to successfully deceive the gods. After Enkidu used a secret technique to create the heaven lock, Enkidu, Wu-ming wrapped it around his hand. Rather than being put into Dragon's Nest, by Master Wu-ming, I'd rather be in Master Wu-ming's hand. Therefore, Wu-ming wrapped the heaven lock, Enkidu, around his hand. Wu-ming touched the heaven lock, Enkidu, and said slowly, "It's been hard on you, Shaoan." No, to be able to follow Master Wu-ming, I was created as a weapon. My wish is to be treated as a person by Master, to be loved by Master, and to be used by Master. Right now, I'm really happy. The heaven lock, Enkidu, flashed and spoke, revealing her everything. Shaoan, go and rest first. It's your first time going through the space-time tunnel, so you're probably still not used to it. Yes, Master Wu-ming, I'll go and rest first. As she spoke, the heaven lock, Enkidu, dimmed and became the same as a normal chain. Then, let's take a look at this guild's information. As he spoke, Wu-ming closed his eyes and began to look at the data in his mind. After a long time, Wu-ming opened his eyes. I see, this guild is quite interesting. The underground tomb of Nizalik was originally a checkpoint, but because it was conquered by the first members of Anziergong, the system reward became a stronghold, which was a guild. After the modification of the members of Anziergong's guild, it created the entire underground tomb of Nizalik, Anziergong's large guild. I wonder how strong the otherworld Anziergong transmigrated to is. I'll go and find out after tomorrow's meeting. As he spoke, Wu-ming fell asleep. Please don't dream of Merlin. Chapter 32. The next day, Wu-ming woke up early in the morning. Wu-ming had arrived at the underground tomb of Nazalik late last night. In addition, Wu-ming had traveled through time and space for a long time. After a night of rest, he was no longer tired. Because the order from yesterday was to gather at night, Wu-ming decided to walk around the underground tomb of Nazalik himself. Wu-ming picked up a ring from the table and put it on his finger. Move to the first floor. In an instant, Wu-ming's figure flickered and disappeared. That ring was the guild ring of the underground tomb of Nasalik, Ainsworgong. Other than entering the underground tomb of Nasalik to verify his identity, it also had the ability to move around the underground tomb of Nasalik without restriction. What entered his eyes was a hall filled with stone coffins. Stone pillars supported the hall and were evenly distributed around the hall. The stone coffins were also distributed according to the ratio. Wu Ming could clearly sense that every sarcophagus had a magical reaction, as well as the reactions of unseen creatures around them. They were probably the monsters guarding the first floor of the underground tomb of Nasilik. As expected of the underground tomb of Nasilik. Let's not talk about the strength of these monsters. Just looking at them is enough to scare people. Wu Ming didn't care about this and continued to walk toward the door of the hall. As soon as he walked out, he saw a slightly desolate courtyard. Although it was called a courtyard, it was actually a graveyard. Stone tablets were erected in the courtyard. Needless to say, the ground in the courtyard was filled with monsters. The courtyard was surrounded by a 3-meter-tall wall. In front of Wu Ming was the entrance to the graveyard. At this moment, it was daytime in this world. Wu Ming looked at the vast sky and couldn't help but sigh. As expected, no matter which world it is, the sky is beautiful. After staying on the first floor for a while, Wu Ming observed the second to the 8th floor. He had to admit that the people of Ains Wurgong had all kinds of strange tastes. There were a total of 10 levels in Nazalik's underground tomb. The first 3 levels were the graveyard, which fit the name of a tomb. The 4th floor was a massive underground lake. This floor was a little special, as there were no NPCs here. This was because the NPC on this floor was Graham, a large stone puppet with no self-awareness. Activating it required a lot of time. The 5th level was an ice field, where the cold winds were fierce and bone-chilling. The 6th floor was a jungle, but there was an arena in the middle of the jungle. The structure was very similar to the Colosseum in Rome. The 7th floor was a lava zone, and the temperature was frighteningly high. The 8th floor was a wasteland. The NPCs on this floor were also special. As for what was special about them, that would be explained later. The 9th floor, which was the floor where Wu Ming had slept last night, was a royal suite. After all, this was originally a guild stronghold in the game. Players would also enjoy it, so this floor was set up. The 10th floor was between the thrones that Wu Ming had been in when he arrived at the underground tomb of Nazalek yesterday. This floor was the room. It wasn't big and was only used for decoration. After all, the players discussed things on the 9th floor. The 10th floor was just a symbolic building. After strolling around, it was almost time for the scheduled gathering. Wu Ming directly teleported to the throne on the 10th floor. The scene in front of him changed, and Wu Ming arrived in front of the throne. There were all kinds of members of the opposite sex gathered under the throne. Demons, bugmen, dark elves, vampires, and so on. He saw the succubus who had served the throne yesterday arguing with a girl in a dark purple princess dress. The girl's skin was as pale as a corpse. Only the skin on her hands and face was exposed. The rest of her body was wrapped in clothes. Her silver hair was tied into a ponytail behind her head, and the princess dress on her lower body bulged like a cake. I remember. She seems to be the guardian of the 1st to 3rd floors. Because they saw Wu Ming's arrival, everyone quickly stood in a row. Everyone, offer your loyalty to the Supreme One. The succubus ordered, and the guardians began to kneel on one knee to greet Wu Ming. Guardian of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floors, Shadya Bradford. Greetings, Lord Wu Ming. The first was the girl who was arguing with the succubus. Guardian of the 5th floor, Cositas. Greetings, Lord Wu Ming. Cositas was a huge blue insect with iceberg-like armor on its back and shoulders. Guardian of the 6th floor, Yon Bellafiora. Greetings, Lord Wu Ming. A dark elf who wore men's clothes and spoke cheerfully and looked like a boy. Same guardian of the 6th floor, Mare Bellafiora. Greetings, Lord Wu Ming. This was a dark elf who wore women's clothes and spoke shyly and nervously, looking like a girl. The guardians of the 6th floor were a pair of dark elf twins. That's right, the older sister in men's clothes and the younger brother in women's clothes. If Wu Ming hadn't read the information, he wouldn't have thought that the nervous, shy, introverted mare in cute women's clothes was a boy. Guardian of the 7th floor, Demugos. Greetings, Lord Wu Ming. Demugos wore a British suit and had a metal tail on his back. The tip of the tail was burning with a faint black flame. He wore gold-rimmed glasses and had slightly pointed ears. If one didn't look at the tale behind him, anyone would think that he was an outstanding businessman. Chief Guardian, Yair Bella. Greetings, Lord Wuming. The succubus from yesterday, Yair Bella, lowered her head and reported to Wuming. What's going on? This gaze is comparable to Maeve's. I really don't know what the player who designed Yair Bella is doing. Other than the guardian of the 4th floor, Kagandua, and the guardian of the 8th floor, Victim, all the guardians of the other floors are in front of you. Supreme, please give the order. We will not hesitate to go through water and tread on fire. Wuming sat on the throne and looked at them quietly. After a moment, Wuming spoke. The main reason I called you here today is to tell you about the situation in the underground tomb of Nazalek. The guardians raised their heads slightly and looked up at Wuming. The underground tomb of Nazalek has been moved to another world due to an accident. Looking around at the guardians, Wuming continued. I took a look this morning. The underground tomb of Nazalek is on a plain. There are no signs of activity within a kilometer of it. This is undoubtedly a good thing. The reason why Wuming stayed on the 1st floor was because Wuming used magic to detect the surroundings of the tomb. As aberrations, if we were moved to a human gathering place, it would be troublesome. In the game Yggdrasil, there were only 3 races for players: humans, subhumans, and aberrations. Humans were categorized as dwarves, elves, and so on. Subhumans were categorized as goblins, ogres, and so on. As long as they were not humans or subhumans, they were all aberrations. For example, slimes, bugmen, demons, and so on. Of course, Wuming was a dragon in the minds of these NPCs. He used a secret technique to switch between human and dragon forms. From now on, the underground tomb of Nazalek is on the highest alert. Yes, Lord Wuming. Now, let's talk about your problems. Chapter 33. There was a long hole in the wall in front of Wuming that looked like a cupboard. There was a twisted scepter floating in the hole. The tip of the scepter was in the shape of a cup, and there were 7 snakes coiled clockwise in the cup. Finally, the snake heads poked out of the cup, and each snake had a gem in its mouth. The 7 gems of different colors shone with a mesmerizing light. Wuming reached out his hand, and the scepter automatically floated into Wuming's hand. Holding the twisted scepter, Wuming looked at the twisted black and purple souls that appeared in the cup of the scepter. He could not help but feel helpless at Ains Ergong's bad taste. This should be a guild weapon, right? The so-called guild weapon referred to the core of a guild. Once the guild weapon was destroyed, the guild would disintegrate. Therefore, guild weapons were usually placed in the core of the guild for protection. However, Ains Ergong's guild weapon was a powerful weapon. According to the information, the staff of Ains Ergong itself was a divine weapon. The 7 gems in the 7 snakes at the tip of the scepter were also rare divine weapons, and it was a set of equipment. The power of the 7 gems was not just 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is equal to 7, but it was far greater than that. This made the staff of Ains Ergong comparable to a world-class item, or even greater. Yggdrasil, World Tree. S weapon grade classification was as follows: low grade, mid grade, high grade, heritage grade, relic, legendary grade, and divine weapons. Divine weapons were generally top grade, but Yggdrasil, World Tree, had world-class items. The so-called world-class items were the 200 top-grade items in Yggdrasil, World Tree. The power of these top-grade items could only be matched by other world-class items. Among the 200 top-grade items, the strongest 20 world-class items were specially called 20. These 20 items had the ability to severely disrupt the game's balance. Because of this, these 20 world-class items could only be used once. After using them, they would disappear. In the game, these 20 world-class items would disappear after being used. After that, they would reappear somewhere in the Yggdrasil World Tree. According to Wuming's memories, Ains Ergong was the guild with the highest number of world-class items. They currently had a total of 11 world-class items. Originally, they had 12 world-class items, but one of them was taken away by an enemy guild. In the Yggdrasil game, The guild with the second highest number only had 3 world-class items. From this, it could be seen how powerful Ain's Wugong was. Among the 11 world-class items that belonged to Ain's Wugong, 2 of them were ranked 20 world-class items. These 2 world-class items were stipulated by the guild members that they could only be used when the enemy used an item of the same level. The Staff of Anziergen? Wu-Ming could not help but sigh. Wu-Ming couldn't help but think as he looked at the large amount of information about the scepter. The people of Ain's Ergong must really love their guild. After all, the process of making this scepter was too difficult. If it were not for the difficulties of daily life, Wu-Ming believed that the members of Ain's Ergong would have persevered until the server was shut down. If that's the case, let me strengthen the name of Ain's Ergong, Wu-Ming said as he raised the Staff of Anziergen. This could be considered as a form of consolation for these NPCs who had lost their parents. After Wu-Ming stored the Staff of Anziergen into Dragonest, Dragon's Nest, he used the Ring of Anziergen to teleport to an office-like room. At this moment, Demugos was already waiting in the office. Seeing Wu-Ming arrive, Demugos quickly knelt down on one knee. "Master Wu-Ming." Wu-Ming waved his hand to signal Demugos to get up. "Get up, Demugos. You don't have to kneel every time you see me, just bow." "Yes, Master Wu-Ming." Demugos stood up and put the paper in his hand on the desk. "Master Wu-Ming, these are the statistics of Nazarik's underground tomb and the preparation plan for exploring the surroundings of Nasrik. Please take a look." Hearing this, Wu-Ming sat in the office chair behind the desk. He picked up the information that Demugos had compiled and began to read. The overall performance of Nazarik's underground tomb hasn't changed, but the consumption of gold coins is lacking. Wu-Ming asked without raising his head. "Why, is Nasarik running out of gold coins?" Demugos also shook his head. "No, after the other Guardians and I tested all of Nazarik's production performance, we only suffered a slight loss of gold coins. However, we can no longer obtain Yggdrasil, World Tree, gold coins. After a while, Nasarik will be in danger. I don't know if the gold coins of this world can be used for Nazarik's underground tomb, so I have stopped the consumption of unimportant gold coins." Wu-Ming, who was still flipping through the information, heard this and the emblem on his arm flashed. Crash! A bag of jewelry and gold nuggets fell on the table. "This is the treasure I collected from other places. Go and see if it can be used for Nazarik's operation." "Yes." Demugos picked up the bag on the table. "Regarding the exploration of Nazarik's surroundings, cancel the plan. I will go personally." Demugos was shocked and knelt down on one knee. "No, how can we let Lord Wu-Ming take the risk? If you are worried, you can let us Guardians explore. Please take back your order." Putting down the information, Wu-Ming said helplessly. "Don't worry, Demugos, I will bring my men. In the current situation, it is wise to send the highest combat power. If there is an existence that even I can't defeat, it will be useless even if you go. Lord Wu-Ming, you also said that there is an existence that even you can't defeat, so it is wise for us to explore." After that, Wu-Ming and Demugos did not speak. A moment later, "Get up, Demugos, I have made up my mind. At worst, I will bring Yair Bed." Yair Bed was Nazarik's guardian, so he had the strongest defense. Whether it was his own defense or the protection of a specific person, Yair Bed had the strongest defense. "Yes, Lord Wu-Ming, I wish you the best of luck. That's all. The plan will be implemented in 3 days. Let's first operate Nasarik properly. Then please forgive me for taking my leave." Go ahead." Demugos turned around and left the office. After that, Wu-Ming leaned on the soft back of the chair and let out a long sigh of relief. "This is a different world, a different world. How can I not take the risk? I am a traveler." 3 days later, in the library on the 9th floor, Wu-Ming was tidying up all kinds of magic books. After all, there were many practical spells in Yggdrasil, such as detection, anti-reconnaissance spells, and teleportation gates, which were more practical for Wu-Ming. Alright, that's all for now. As expected of one of the strongest guilds, the members of Ain's Wugong really can't be underestimated. There were a lot of books in the library. Although more than half of the books were biographies and background stories, and some of them were guides. Magic books only took up a small portion, but the number of books was still shocking. Wu Ming had been reading for the past 3 days. He had only spent some time organizing the books to be stored in Dragonist, but the collection of books did not affect the library at all. Yair Bed should be waiting for me in the throne room now. As he spoke, the ring of Ain's Wugong on Wu Ming's hand lit up and Wu Ming disappeared. Wu Ming's journey to the other world was about to begin. Chapter 34. On the endless grassland, a green creature that looked like a bear or a deer was running. Taking a closer look, the creature carried 2 people on its back, a man and a woman. The man had black hair and black eyes. He was wearing Sumer-style clothes and looked very exotic. The woman had black hair and golden vertical pupils. She had 2 twisted horns on her head. She was wearing a white dress and had a pair of black wings behind her waist and abdomen. Although the woman was beautiful, she was obviously not human. What a strange magical beast, Lord Wu Ming. Yair Abed sat on Funbaba's back and praised. Is that so? Is there no such magical beast in Yggdrasil? Wu Ming lay on Funbaba's back and basked in the sun. Well, although there are similar magical beasts, I have never heard of weapons and equipment turning into magical beasts. That's right, Funbaba was the magical beast Funbaba that Wu Ming took away when he left Babylon. It had already fused with Yggdrasil. Because the grassland was relatively large, Demugos chose a mount for Wu Ming to travel on. After Wu Ming refused, he took Yggdrasil out of Dragonist and made it appear as Funbaba. Under the amazed gaze of the Guardians, Wu Ming held the hand of Yair Abed, who had no regrets in his life, and sat on Funbaba's back. After that, before the Guardians could react, Wu Ming used the ring to teleport to the first floor of the great underground tomb of Nassarik, directly avoiding the guards that the Guardians had assigned to Wu Ming. In the midst of the chaos, Wu Ming successfully escaped from Nassarik with Yair Abed. Now that I think about it, I have to let them complain for a while when I go back. Wu Ming patted Funbaba's back and said directly, Funbaba, determine the direction of someone's life and move in that direction. Woo! Funbaba let out a low cry and ran faster. Because of Funbaba's special ability and Yggdrasil's ability, Funbaba could control things with the wood attribute, including detection and so on. Therefore, Wu Ming handed the task of finding people around Nassarik to Funbaba. By the way, just call me Villo in front of outsiders. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Beta should lie down too. Funbaba's back is very comfortable. Hearing this, Yair Beda's eyes lit up, and his expression became terrifying. Lord Wu Ming. Hey. What are you doing? Lie over there, don't be afraid to lie on me. That won't do, Lord Wu Ming. In order to prevent an enemy attack, I have to stay close to protect him. I think you're just taking advantage of me. Go away. Lord Wu Ming, what the hell is going on? Funbaba, who was running, shook its head helplessly like a human and increased its speed again. Soon, Funbaba stopped in a forest that was not too dense. Wu Ming, who was on its back, panted tiredly. Beta, stop first. There's a situation in front. Beta's face was also flushed and he was panting heavily. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Wu Ming got down from Funbaba's back and wanted to walk forward. What's going on with Beta's character? Is the player who designed her a pervert? After getting rid of the messy thoughts in his heart, Wu Ming looked forward. Wu Ming took a closer look. Houses were lined up on a flat ground. There weren't many of them, only the number of a village. Although the houses were simple, they were full of vitality. However, the ground and walls of the village were now full of dark red liquid, which was disgusting. That's blood. Knights in full-body armor wielded swords and killed unarmed villagers one after another. At this moment, a pair of sisters escaped from the village in the direction of this forest. However, behind the 2 of them were 2 soldiers. Coincidentally, the younger sister of the sisters fell because she was too young. Quick, Nim, get up quickly. We have to get out of here quickly. Because she often did farm work, The older sister's physical fitness was obviously much better than the younger sister. She pulled the younger sister up from the ground with a little strength. "Okay, I know, sister," Nim said while holding back her tears. "Okay, let's run." Just as the older sister was about to pull the younger sister and run again, an exasperated voice sounded. "Where do you think you're going?" A knight who slaughtered the villagers stood behind the sisters. "I can't believe I was delayed by you two brats. I'm so angry." The knight roared and swung his sword at the sisters. "Nim!" The older sister quickly hugged the younger sister. At the same time, she also closed her eyes. Clang! The expected pain did not come. Instead, there was a sound of metal colliding. How is this possible?" The knight let out a panicked voice. The young girl boldly turned around and saw a black-haired, black-eyed young man wearing a foreign race's costume standing in front of the knight. The knight's sword was firmly held by the young man. Seeing this, the young girl widened her eyes. "I thought it was some special event. In the end, this is some high-level conspiracy," Wu Ming said in boredom. With Wu Ming's many years of experience in politics, he could almost guess why the knight slaughtered the villagers for no reason. "Just in time to try out the magic I learned these few days." Wu Ming exerted force in his hand and said softly, "Dragon thunder." A large amount of blue lightning emerged from Wu Ming's body and passed through the sword in Wu Ming's hand to the knight's body. "Ah!" The knight screamed and then fell to the ground. His body was emitting black smoke as if he was roasted. "Seems like the strength of this world isn't very high," Wu Ming thought. "I'm a monster." The other knight who was chasing after saw his companion die in an instant. He screamed in fear and turned around to escape. Wu Ming waved his hand. The knight who did not have time to escape was instantly wrapped by thick vines that grew out from the ground. Blood flowed out from the gaps in the vines. "Seriously, can a knight like you be called a knight? You're a disgrace to the knights," Wu Ming said in disdain. "Woo!" Funbaba slowly walked out from behind Wu Ming. So beautiful." The two sisters who had never seen such a sacred Funbaba exclaimed. Wu Ming laughed involuntarily. After all, Funbaba was known as a divine beast. "Are you two okay?" Wu Ming asked. "We're fine. Thank you, sir." "Thank you, sir." As the elder sister, the girl quickly thanked Wu Ming. The younger sister next to her also did the same. "Right, sir, please save our villagers." After the girl thanked Wu Ming, she suddenly remembered the villagers who were still suffering and sorrowfully begged Wu Ming. Please. The girl's younger sister continued in her slightly clumsy but cute way. Wu Ming looked at the two sisters and said sternly, "I know, you two come with me." "Thank you, sir." Just as Wu Ming was about to leave with the two sisters, Yair Bade, who had finished changing his equipment, suddenly spoke. "Please wait, Sir Villo." Chapter 35. "What's wrong, Bade?" Wu Ming asked. Wu Ming looked at Yair Bade, who was wearing a full body armor, and asked, Lord Vero, you are an honorable supreme. These lowly humans are not worthy of your protection. Please allow me to execute them." Then, Bade raised the black axe in his hand. "Wait a minute, Yair Bade." Wu Ming sighed helplessly. "Whether they are worthy of my protection or not, let's talk about it after the crusade against the enemy." After a moment of silence, Bade put down his axe. "Yes, Lord Wu Ming." The sisters looked at the master and servant in front of them, as if they hadn't reacted yet, and didn't say anything. "Funbaba." "Wu." With Wu Ming's order, Funbaba behind him began to move toward the village. The scene changed, and the armored knights were still wantonly slaughtering the villagers. Screams, cries of fear, begging for mercy, and wild laughter were incessant. Suddenly, one of the knights seemed to have encountered something and let out a scream. "What happened?" A knight who seemed to be a captain and didn't have a mask on his helmet shouted. "What is this? Don't come over." Many huge vines as thick as a person grew under the feet of the knights and wrapped around the soldiers one after another. The knights screamed and began to pray to the gods. God, please save me. My God, Lord God. Then, the knights who were wrapped by the vines stopped making any noise. Only the huge tree stumps formed by the vines were left. What the hell is this? The captain was still rational and began to issue orders. Prepare to retreat. Send the signal for the horses and archers to come over. However, it was already too late. The huge vines sped up their growth, and soon, all the knights' feet were entangled. Quick, come and save me. Another guy, who was also not wearing a mask like the captain, shouted from the side. I'm not someone who should die here. Quick, save me. No matter what, it doesn't matter if it's your health or anything else. Hurry up and save me. The squad leader couldn't believe that the guy who was yelling hysterically could be heard. Captain Balius, he said in surprise. Suddenly, a light, low voice was heard. Woo! A huge green creature that looked like a bear or a deer slowly walked over. What is that? The captain, who was still rational, asked in surprise. The green creature stomped its foot, and the vines instantly wrapped around the wailing knights. In an instant, only the captain who was still rational was left. The sword in the captain's hand fell to the ground. He had completely given up. The vines had already wrapped around his lower body. Don't worry, those soldiers are still alive. The squad leader raised his head in surprise to see a young man walking over from afar. After all, I still need to obtain information from you. Wu Ming waved his hand, and vines began to slowly wrap around the knight's upper body. Is that so? Thank you for sparing my life. However, I believe that my companion won't do anything. The vines had completely wrapped around the soldier. You're the only one who still looks like a knight, Wu Ming said calmly. The rest of the villagers fell into a dead silence. After a while, under the arrangement of the village chief, the villagers temporarily rested in the undamaged houses. The village chief, on the other hand, welcomed Wu Ming. In the village chief's house, Wu Ming picked up the simple cup of water provided by the village chief, took a sip, and listened to the village chief introduce the village. Khan Village, is it? Yes, Khan Village's geographical location is not very good. It happens to be in the middle of 3 countries. The village chief said with a hint of sadness. After some questioning, Wu Ming lied that he was a magic chanter who cultivated deep in the mountains. Wu Ming originally said that he was a magician, but it seemed that in this world, people who used magic and magic were called magic chanters, so Wu Ming called himself a magic chanter. Wu Ming used information as a reward to offset the village chief's suspicion. After all, in this village where no one knew when something would happen, it was really hard to be at ease. According to the village chief, Khan Village belonged to the Restige Kingdom and was located in the southeast corner of the kingdom. The Restige Kingdom, the Bahaz Empire, and the human supremacy of the Syrian theocracy were located in the middle of the mountain range that ran through the north and south. According to the map provided by the village chief, the kingdom was in the northwest corner, the empire was in the northeast, and the theocracy was in the south of the 2 kingdoms. Khan Village was in the middle of the 3 kingdoms. The kingdom and the empire were not on good terms, and there would be war all year round. The location of the war was in the plains near the border city of the Restige Kingdom, Yalantir. According to the village chief, the knights who slaughtered the villagers were given the empire's badge, so it could be inferred that it was the empire's so-called. However, Wu Ming felt that it was not that simple. After all, the village chief also said that the kingdom and the empire were at war all year round, and there was no benefit for the empire to slaughter the villages at the border of the kingdom. Moreover, these knights were praying to the gods before they were wrapped in vines. It seems that I have fallen into some conspiracy again. After asking the village chief for the necessary information, Wu Ming bid farewell to the village chief and went out. Lord Wu Ming. Yair Bade had been guarding outside the door. As for Fan Baba, Wu Ming asked it to check if there were any other enemies in the surroundings. After all, the captain just said that he was going to send a signal. I have gathered enough information. In short, the underground tomb of Nasserik is safe in this world for the time being. What should we do with the inferior creatures that were captured by your magic beasts? Wu Ming pondered for a moment and asked. Summon the subordinates of Nasarick who have special invisibility skills and transport all the knights to Nasarick. Funbaba just told me that there are still some knights nearby that have been captured by Funbaba. Also, transport those knights to Nasarick and get more information from them. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. I will contact Demiugos right away. Yair Bade placed his hand on his temple near his ear and began to contact Demiugos. All right, remember not to kill them first. Also, do some anti-reconnaissance work. After all, we don't know if these people have tracking magic or something like that on them. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. After saying that, Wu Ming walked away and began to walk around the village. As he walked, Wu Ming heard a lot of crying. Wu Ming looked and saw that it was the families of the dead villagers. Among them were the sisters that Wu Ming saved. They were crying on the corpses of their loved ones. I'm used to seeing people die. In the end, I still can't help but feel melancholy over tears. Whether it was in Connaught or Camelot, Wu Ming was used to seeing all kinds of deaths. In the end, Wu Ming still felt melancholy over these things. It wasn't that he was sad. It was just that he couldn't stand it. I remember that your name is Onli, right? Wu Ming half squatted in front of the sister that Wu Ming saved. The girl named Onli choked and said, Don't cry. In any case, I am a powerful magic caster. I have a way to revive your loved ones. As soon as he said that, the villagers who had lost their loved ones all knelt on the ground and begged Wu Ming. Lord Villo, please save my son. Lord Villo, please save my sister. All right, all of you, get up. Move the villagers' corpses to an empty space. Hearing that, the villagers started to move. Yair Bade, who had finished talking with Demirogoth, walked over and asked Wu Ming in confusion. Lord Villo, are you going to use a rare resurrection tool to revive these lowly worms? Hearing that, Wu Ming couldn't help but laugh. All right, Yair Bade. Although I am not a human, I like humans very much. Moreover, I am going to use the resurrection magic that I have learned. I will not use a resurrection tool. Besides, I don't have one, but Lord Villo, all right, Yair Bade. Wu Ming interrupted Yair Bade's speech. If I die, you will definitely try your best to revive me, just like how these villagers begged me. Put yourself in my shoes and forgive my stubbornness. After that, Yair Bade didn't say anything else. Chapter 36. The villagers had already moved the corpses to the village square. Everyone made way for Wu Ming and waited quietly for him to cast the spell. Although I also learned a resurrection spell because of interest, I have never tried it before. I don't know if it will work on these villagers. Wu Ming shook his head and walked forward. The sixth order spell, Angel's Return. Wu Ming accidentally saw this spell in Nazarik's library. In the Yggdrasil, world tree, magic was divided into 10 levels. There were 1st to 10th level spells. In Yggdrasil, there was also a supreme level spell, which was the 11th level spell. Supreme level spells were more like skills than magic. There were many restrictions. Not only did it take time to cast, but there was also a limit to the number of times it could be used per day, and it could not be cast continuously. The cooldown after casting could not be offset in Yggdrasil, whether it was a Krypton item or something else. It could not offset the cooldown time. Of course, these were all obtained from Wu Ming's data memory. Wu Ming chanted the name of the spell, waved his hand, and a holy light rose into the sky. The light shot into the sky and gathered into a large sacred cloud. The cloud transformed into the appearance of an angel. A large number of sacred white feathers slowly fell on the villagers' corpses and integrated into the villagers' bodies. The angel made a sacred and indescribable sound toward the sky and dissipated. After the villagers' corpses merged with the feathers, the wounds on their bodies disappeared, and their skin color changed from pale to healthy. Under the villagers' excited eyes, the corpses that were originally lying on the ground opened their eyes one by one. The family members of the resurrected villagers, including Onli and her sister, rushed up with the villagers' cheers and hugged their family members fiercely. The sixth order spell is so powerful, it scared me. It seems that I have to go back to Nasarick to find some items to use. Wu-ming did not expect this spell to be so amazing. After all, the Dragon Thunder that Wu-ming used before was also a 6th-order spell. Wu-ming, Sama, Yaoda has been waiting outside the village with the special forces. At this time, Yaoda walked behind Wu-ming. Stay low for now, I don't think it will be so simple this time. Wu-ming couldn't help but sigh as he turned to look at the villagers who were crying with joy. To be able to see you all so happy, my efforts have not been in vain. After all, ever since Wu-ming could remember, he had always thought that he was a human being. After knowing that he wasn't, Wu-ming still had special feelings for humans. After settling down the villagers who had just been revived, the village chief grabbed Wu-ming's hand and thanked him profusely. Thank you so much, Sir Villo. Wu-ming felt a little helpless against such a village chief. Alright. Village chief, you've thanked me enough. Village chief, you've just suffered a disaster. You should go and arrange the situation of the village. Alright, Sir Villo, thank you so much. Just as Wu-ming was about to say something polite, a villager suddenly ran over. Not good, village chief. A group of cavalrymen is approaching. What? Sir Villo. Seeing the village chief's expression, how could Wu-ming not know what was going on? I understand, village chief. Let the villagers hide first. I'll go with you to see what's going on. All right. After a while, Wu-ming and the village chief stood at the entrance of the village. A group of cavalrymen with different equipment rode over. The leader was a man in his 30s. The man rode his horse to the front of Wu-ming and the village chief and said, I'm Gejuf Stolenov, the head warrior of the Riesti kingdom. I heard that there were cavalrymen from the empire causing trouble nearby. I've been ordered by the king to suppress them. I'm currently patrolling the villages. The head warrior of the kingdom. The village chief said in shock. Wu-ming looked at the village chief in confusion. The village chief hurriedly said, I've only heard that the head warrior of the kingdom is the strongest man in the kingdom. That's just the king's love and respect. It's just a title, not worth mentioning. Gejuf looked at Wu-ming again. May I know who you are? Nice to meet you, head warrior of the kingdom. My name is Villo Silenst. I'm a magic chanter who was passing by and saw the village chief being slaughtered. I'm here to help. As if he heard something unbelievable, Gejuf quickly got off his horse and walked to Wu-ming. He held Wu-ming's hands. Thank you so much for saving this village. Looking at Gejuf's sincere eyes, Wu-ming was stunned for a moment. Seems like he's a good official who cares about the people. I'll save him. You're welcome, head warrior. Suddenly, someone from Gejuf's troop ran over. Head warrior, there are many figures nearby. They're closing in on the village. Seeing this, everyone frowned. Seems like someone can't sit still. Soon, Gejuf's troop and Wu-ming retreated to the outermost house of the village chief. Wu-ming looked at Gejuf, who was observing the situation outside, and asked directly, Who are those people outside? Gejuf retracted his gaze and looked at Wu-ming. To be able to mobilize so many magic chanters, it could only be the Si Lian cult. And it's a special troop directly under the head priest, one of the Si Lian cult's 6-color holy books. After hearing this, it seemed to confirm Wu-ming's thoughts. Seems like they're coming for you, head warrior. Gejuf was stunned for a moment. After thinking carefully, he realized that they were really coming for him. Oh, I didn't expect the cult to want to get rid of me. After that, Wu-ming said with a smile. You're very lucky, head warrior. What do you mean? Gejuf was puzzled. Seeing that you have a good temper, I've decided to help you. Hearing this, Gejuf was overjoyed. Really, Lord Silenst? Thank you so much. After all, Gejuf and the others had learned from the village chief that Wu-ming had a very powerful magic beast. Then, head warrior, please wait for me here. As he said that, Wu-ming began to walk out of the house. Wait, Lord Silenst. No matter what, they have the advantage in numbers, please don't be rash. Gejuf still felt that it was better to be cautious and advised Wu-ming. Don't worry, head warrior. Also, just call me Villo. Silenst is too long. As he said that, he left the house with Yair Bade and advanced towards the enemy. Lord Villo. Gugejuf looked at the two with a complicated gaze. Slowly, Wuming brought Yair to a very close distance with the enemy. The enemy did not seem to be afraid of Wuming and did not stop them. Suddenly, the atmosphere was tense. Chapter 37. Negan Gullible Lewin, as the head sergeant of the Light Scripture, one of the 6 color scriptures of the Si Lien theocracy, Negan never thought that he would fail or die in a place like this. After all, he was the head priest of the Light Scripture. The report said that the knight who was wrapped in vines was killed by the demonic beast under the command of that man. Negan looked at the man and woman walking over and immediately gave an order. Attack! The other priests immediately took action. The mechanical creatures that looked like angels raised their lightsabers and flew towards Wuming and Yair. However, when these angels approached the two, they were destroyed by an invisible attack. They turned into starlight and disappeared in the air. What? Not only was Negan shocked, but the other priests were also shocked. The angel army was destroyed in an instant, and it was done using an unknown method. A sense of crisis rushed into Negan's mind, and he immediately summoned the High Angel, the Surveillance Angel, to go forward and meet the attack. Surveillance Angel! After hearing the order, the angel floating behind Negan, who was much bigger than the other angels, summoned a staff. Under Wuming's slightly crumbling expression, the Surveillance Angel used the short staff to smash down on Wuming. That's right, it smashed down with the short staff. Peng! Wuming grabbed the short staff and said with a forced smile, "Summoning a staff to smash people? I don't know what to say anymore." While everyone in Negan was shocked that Wuming caught the Surveillance Angel's attack with one hand, Wuming pointed at the angel in front of him. Heavenly fire! In the blink of an eye, the Surveillance Angel was completely enveloped by a large amount of holy light golden flames until everything was reduced to nothingness. What? The High Angel was hit in one hit? Negan couldn't believe his eyes. Wuming had been through so much, but he didn't have many means of fighting. When he was in Ireland and Britain, Wuming only relied on his own martial arts and the noble phantoms in his hands, namely the powerful Exsilver, Meteor Silver, and Yggdrasil, that could control plants and vitality, and some loon magic. In Babylon, Wuming, who transformed into a dragon, relied on the power of faith of the Babylonians. After all, after Wuming left, faith could no longer be used. That was the limitation of faith. The root dragon that was not in Babylon was no longer the Babylon Hyunryong, but the legendary root dragon. That was the limitation of faith. After that, Wuming came to this world. Thinking about it carefully, Wuming's abilities were as follows: martial arts and wisdom, loon magic, that he learned from Skaha, Exsilver, Meteor Silver, S light cannon, Yggdrasil, S ability to control plants and vitality, Funbaba that fused with Yggdrasil, Enkidu's heaven lock that wrapped around his arm, and the magic that he just learned from Nazarik's library. Ignoring his martial arts and noble phantoms, in a situation where he was empty-handed, other than the loon magic and the magic that he just learned from Yggdrasil, World Tree, game, he had no other means of attack. Funbaba was included in the noble phantoms. Enkidu was still in a deep sleep because he was not used to the space-time tunnel. Although he was in a deep sleep, Wuming could still use Heaven Lock. The loon magic required the engraving of the loon runes before it could be activated. The invisible attack from before was the magic that Wuming engraved on the way here. Therefore, the only magic that could be used now was the magic in Yggdrasil, World Tree, game. After all, the 1st to 10th tier spells were all instantaneous. With Wuming's magical power as the root dragon, even if he was a young root dragon, his magical power was incomparably huge. At the very least, it would take him more than a year to continuously cast a 10th tier spell before he ran out of magical power, and that was excluding the fact that Wuming could recover his magical power. Logically speaking, Wuming should not be able to learn the magic of Yggdrasil, World Tree. After all, Wuming was not a player. It seemed that it was because of the bloodline of the root dragon. As long as there was a grimoire or someone to teach him, learning the magic of Yggdrasil, World Tree, was very easy for Wuming. By the way, Although Wu Ming was often injured, the body of a young root dragon was actually abnormally tough. If Artoria wanted to break through Wu Ming's defense with Excalibur, she would have to use her noble phantoms. Moreover, that was only breaking through his defense. If she wanted to seriously injure Wu Ming, she would have to use an unknown but abnormally powerful black gas like Morgan Le Fay. Of course, ever since he was corroded by the black gas, Wu Ming's resistance to things like poisons and curses had basically reached the limit. To put it simply, regardless of the level of the poisons or curses in the world, they could no longer affect Wu Ming. This was the characteristic of the root dragon that was born from the root of all worlds. Otherwise, those that could transform into dragons would be called root dragons. For example, special abilities such as traveling through space and time without being affected, and learning the magic of Yggdrasil, World Tree, that should not be able to learn, were all brought about by the bloodline of the root dragon. Don't worry. If this thing doesn't die after being hit by a Tier 9 magic, I'll have to look at it in a different light, Wu Ming said with a wave of his hand. Although Nasaric was an alien guild, the spells that the members of the guild organized were not only of the Dark series. The Skyfire, just now, was a Faith-type spell. Although it was strange to use Faith-type magic to attack an angel, Wu Ming did not think too much about it. The Skyfire spell had a special ability that increased its attack power on non-human enemies. In Yggdrasil, World Tree, apart from races such as humans, elves, and dwarves, demi-humans, aliens such as orcs, goblins, ogres, vampires, bugmen, demons, and dragons all had attack power. Coupled with the support of Wu Ming's powerful magic, how could a mere level 45 monster withstand it? That's right, Yair Bade was the one who told Wu Ming the monster's level. According to Yair Bade, there were such monsters in Yggdrasil, World Tree. Is it a coincidence? Or? Wu Ming pondered. What? Tier 9 magic? How is that possible? Negan shouted as he broke down. Mama, calm down. You're the leader of these priests after all, Wu Ming said with a smile. Impossible. How could anyone know a Tier 9 magic? Negan seemed to have broken down as he took out a crystal from his pocket. Item? I remember that crystal item seems to be used to seal spells from the 1st to the 10th level. After thinking for a while, Wu Ming swung his arm and a silver chain flew out from Wu Ming's palm. Before Negan could react, the chain snatched the crystal item from Negan's hand. After putting away Enkidu, Wu Ming looked at the item in his hand and then tossed it to Yair Bade, who was beside him. Go back and see what's inside. Lord Villo. Then, Wu Ming looked at Negan's group. As for you, Just as Wu Ming was about to say something, the sky shattered like a piece of glass in front of Wu Ming's group. Just in case, I even learned a high-level counterintelligence spell called Mirror Reflection. The Motherland is spying on me? Negan was in disbelief. Negan suddenly shouted as if he had broken down. Sir, my lord, no, I'm fine by myself, please let me go, I'll give you any amount of money, I beg you. Don't embarrass yourself here, lowly creature. Yair Bade suddenly shouted. The only thing you can do now is to quietly kneel on the ground and gratefully accept Lord Villo's gift of death. Low-class, creature? Purgatory said in an uncertain tone. Since Yair Bade said so, Wu Ming closed his eyes and opened them again. A golden vertical pupil appeared in Wu Ming's eyes. Accept your fate, lowly creature. Chapter 38. Under Wu Ming's orders, Yo captured the members of the sacred scripture of sunlight and brought them back to Nasaric. Wu Ming used the excuse that the sacred scripture of sunlight could be resurrected to order Yo not to kill the members of the sacred scripture of sunlight. This was cruel to the members of the sacred scripture of sunlight. After all, Nasaric was an alien guild created by a group of insane gamers. After Nasaric transformed into a physical body, Nazaric's interrogation methods were devastating. Moreover, Wu Ming had ordered them not to kill the members of the sacred scripture of sunlight. It was obvious that the members of the sacred scripture of sunlight had been offended. However, this had nothing to do with Wu Ming. The battle between Wuming and the members of the sacred scripture of sunlight was witnessed by some villagers and Gujiefu. Wuming used the excuse of feeding the magical beasts to transfer the members of the sacred scripture of sunlight to Nasrik. Since he had gathered enough information about this world, Wuming decided to bid farewell. Is that so? Is Lord Villo leaving? Gujiefu asked thoughtfully. Lord Villo, I would like to thank you again. Thank you for saving my parents. Thank you. Anli and Nim heard that Wuming was leaving and hurried over to express their gratitude to Wuming. Wuming could only smile helplessly. Oh yes, Anli, I have something for you. Wuming extended his hand to Yobaid. Yes. Yobaid took out 2 objects that were the size of a cow's horn and handed them to Wuming. This is a flute that can summon goblins. Use it well. Anli was taken aback. She wanted to reject the gift, but Wuming stuffed it into her hands. Lord Villo, this is too precious. It was a magical item, and it was extremely powerful for a village girl like Anli. Just take it. It's not a very valuable item, Wuming said with a smile. Wuming was not wrong. These were the tools that he had asked Baird to bring out from Nasrik. According to the information in Wuming's mind, these 2 pairs of flutes could only summon a dozen low-level goblins. Of course, that was in the game. Though the low-level goblins weren't enough to protect the village, the goblins could teach the villagers how to defend themselves. Although Khan village was not too far away from Nizarik's underground tomb, Wuming did not plan to protect Khan village forever. As for who to give the item to, Wuming undoubtedly gave it to the pair of sisters he met first. Sir Villo, are you interested in going to King's City with me? Gujiefu suddenly asked. May I know why you are inviting me? From the battle between you and those people, I can see that Sir Villo is a very powerful magical chanter. After all, I am a citizen of the kingdom, and it is necessary for me to recruit talents for the kingdom, Gujiefu said seriously. Please forgive my refusal, Sir Gujiefu. I still have some family members to take care of. I won't go to King's City with you, Wuming said naturally. When Baird heard the word, family, her expression under the helmet instantly became emotional. Is that so? That's a pity. Then, I wish Sir Villo a safe journey. Gujiefu was not angry at Wuming's refusal. He only smiled faintly. If I have the chance to go to King's City, I would like to ask Gujiefu to lead the way for me, Wuming said jokingly. Of course, Gujiefu said, leave it to me. After that, Wuming summoned Funbaba from the forest near Khan village. Sister, look, it's that beautiful deer. Don't talk nonsense, Nim. That's Sir Villo's magical beast. So this is Sir Villo's magical beast. It's really an excellent magical beast, Gujiefu praised. Wuming also got on the Funbaba with Baird. He waved at Gujiefu, Anli, and the others and walked into the distance. After a while, Wuming noticed that Baird, who was sitting behind him, seemed to have some questions. What's the matter, Baird? Baird hesitated for a while and asked. Sir Wuming, do you like humans very much? Hearing this question, Wuming smiled faintly. What about you? What do you think of humans? Baird answered without hesitation. Weak, inferior creatures. What a beautiful scene it would be to stomp them to death like insects. After hearing Baird's words, Wuming had an expression that said, I knew you would say that. Baird, I quite like humans. I was adopted by a kind old man when I was born. Sir Wuming was adopted by humans? Baird was very surprised. Yes. You guys didn't exist back then. Back then I thought I was a human. Wuming recalled the past and said slowly. Is that why Sir Wuming likes humans? Not only that, Baird. Wuming sat back and sat at the same level as Baird. Humans are very mysterious creatures. Their bodies are weak, their strength is weak, and they often fight among themselves. They are vulgar and sad. But humans love life, love peace, are positive, united, and tolerant. Humans are such a strange species. They never bow down in the face of difficulties, never give up, and never retreat. They have the courage to face everything. They know how to learn and know how to create. Even if their innate abilities are insufficient, They will work hard to grow. Wu Ming looked at Baird. Baird, I don't expect you to treat humans well. At the very least, don't be so hostile to them. After saying that, Baird did not say anything else. Wu Ming smiled helplessly. Consider it my willful request. What do you think, Baird? I understand, Sir Wu Ming. I'll treat humans seriously, whether it's to kill or to save them, Baird said as if he had figured something out. Thank you, Baird. Please don't say that, Sir Wu Ming. Baird smiled happily. After coming to this world, you're the only one who's accompanied us. We have to thank you. After hearing Baird's words, Wu Ming seemed to have thought of something and fell silent. I'm sorry, Baird. Why are you sorry, Sir Wu Ming? Baird was puzzled. It's nothing. Anyway, let's go home. Wu Ming gave up on thinking. Forget it. I'll let nature take its course. When Nasarick has established himself in this world, I'll tell them the truth. Yes, Sir Wu Ming. Under the setting sun, a man and a woman rode on a beautiful beast and traveled slowly. Chapter 39. The office on the 9th floor of Nazarick's underground tomb. Wu Ming sat on the office chair and listened to Baird reading the report. Also, the magic sealing crystal contains a level 60 devil, the Radiant Lord's angel. According to the person called Purgatory, this angel once killed the devil god that ravaged the continent. Currently, this is the situation in Nasarick. Please take a look. After Baird finished reading, he placed the document in front of Wu Ming. Celian Cult Nation, 6-color scripture. Wu Ming picked up the document in his hand and started reading. A cult nation that exterminates all non-human creatures above humans? The Celian Cult Nation and our Nasarick are really incompatible. Wu Ming rubbed his forehead helplessly. Such a nation was really disadvantageous to Nasarick. Don't come into contact with the cult nation for now. Set up a devil beast near Khan village that can avoid being detected by intelligence magic and has stealth abilities. That's all for now. You've worked hard, Baird. Go back and rest. Wu Ming leaned back on the chair and said to Baird. How could that be? Lord Wu Ming, as long as it is for the sake of Jizun, the person I love the most, I will do anything. Seeing that Bedford had turned into an infatuated girl again, Wu Ming couldn't help but turn his head away. I still want to complain. What's with Baird's broken character? Suddenly, a charming voice traveled into the room. Excuse me. Satya pushed open the door and walked in. Satya? What's the matter? Wu Ming asked curiously. I'm here to admire Lord Wu Ming's majesty, Satya said with an infatuated expression. Oh, is that so? Then you should be satisfied. Satya, you can leave now. I still have important matters to discuss with Lord Wu Ming, Baird said expressionlessly. Aya, old woman, you're so annoying. Are you in such a hurry because it's past its expiration date? Satya said with an I knew it expression. Then is there anything else on your body that can be eaten? You're like a bunch of food samples. In fact, Baird looked at Zaisha's chest. I'll kill you, old hag. Who are you calling past their expiration date? Bastard. Wu Ming slammed the table as he watched the Dark Yen Yi duel. All right, you two shouldn't quarrel as soon as you see each other. Speaking of which, why don't I know what Xia Taya is going to do? Wu Ming asked. It's like this, Lord Wu Ming. I'm about to leave for battle and meet up with Sebastian. It will be difficult for me to return to Nasarick for a while, so I'm here to pay my respects to you. It seems that Baird and Demiugos had discussed and sent some people to gather information. Wu Ming thought. This is the first time you've come into contact with this world. You must be careful in everything you do, Wu Ming said earnestly. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Then I'll take my leave first. Following the sound of the door closing, Satya left the office. Lord Wu Ming, what are you going to do next? Baird asked. I'm going to the treasury to get something. Baird, go do what you need to do. Don't worry about me. Wu Ming stood up and stretched. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. However, Demiugos may come back to report something to you later. Yair Bade bowed slightly and said respectfully, "Is that so? Then let Demugos wait for me here. I'll be back soon." "Yes, Lord Wu Ming." After giving his instructions, Wu Ming teleported to the entrance of the treasury. Wu Ming's dragonist was upgraded into a noble phantasm. Coupled with Wu Ming's constant nourishment, the space inside dragonist was now very vast. In fact, Wu Ming came this time to put all the useful things in Nizarik's treasury into dragonist. After all, Wu Ming didn't want to live a life without anything. It was more convenient to put the useful things directly into dragonist. Wu Ming actually only learned a few spells in Nasarik. The 5th tier Magic Dragon Thunder, the 6th tier Magic Angel's Return, the 9th tier Magic Heavenly Fire, and the magic skills Mirror Reflection, Dragon Thunder, and many other high-level spells. They were mainly used to deal with humans. Angel's Return was a low-level resurrection spell without side effects. Wu Ming chose to learn this resurrection spell because he didn't know the performance of resurrection magic, such as the resurrection target's level must not exceed 50, the corpse's integrity, and so on. Heavenly Fire was a large-scale killing spell used to deal with non-human creatures. Mirror Reflection was a high-level passive skill. Passive skills were not divided into levels. They were only divided into high-level, intermediate, and low-level. This skill was not only used to guard against intelligence detection magic, but also had absolute resistance to mind control, mind reading, and other mental attacks. That was the advantage of the game. After all, a game couldn't be so detailed. For the time being, Wu Ming learned these few spells. There were several more practical Wu Ming spells that Wu Ming didn't learn yet. For example, Advanced Item Creation, Advanced Item Destruction, Advanced Item Identification, Portal, and so on. The magic books Wu Ming sorted out before were the magic books for these skills. After Wu Ming talked to Pandora Yakut, the keeper of the treasure vault, he took some of the treasures that were unnecessary or redundant for Nasarik. Because the game has become reality, Wu Ming had no way to know the function of the items in the treasure vault except for the special interpretation items. Fortunately, the Staff of Anziwergong works. In this way, Wu Ming used the Staff of Anziwergong to interpret the function of the items one by one and chose some items that were useful to him and did not conflict with the purpose of protecting Nasarik. In the treasure vault, there were other Supreme Beings' spirit halls. In fact, it was the Cenotaph. The last player who stayed behind sorted out the equipment of other players, and those equipment were worn by some stone soldiers. It would automatically attack those who wore the Ring of Anziwergong. Wu Ming was shocked when he came here. Looking at these somewhat crooked sculptures, Wu Ming felt the players' love for other players, for Anziwergong, for Nasarik, and even for Yggdrasil. "Don't worry, since I'm here, I will make it flourish, and I won't let your efforts over the years go to waste." After all, Wu Ming's strength was ready-made, and Nazarik's strength was built by those players. After leaving the treasure vault, Wu Ming returned to his office. Demugos was standing in front of his desk, thinking about something. After hearing someone came in, Demugos looked back and quickly bowed. "Wu Ming-sama, you're back." Demugos. Is there anything you want to tell me?" Wu Ming walked to the office chair and sat down. "It's about Nazarik's finances." Demugos adjusted his glasses and continued. "After you gave me the gold coins of this world, during testing, I found that as long as they are processed into objects the size of gold coins and have a certain value, they can be used to support Nazarik's operations." Wu Ming's eyes lit up. "That's great. I happen to have some gold and jewelry that I don't need right now. I'll give them all to you." With that, Wu Ming took the item that Demugos handed over. It was a special leather bag with a large mouth. When he opened the bag, what greeted his eyes was a membrane that looked like water. Wu Ming pointed his palm at the membrane, and a large number of treasures swarmed out of Wu Ming's palm and fell into the membrane. This bag was called the Infinite Backpack, and it was an item in the Yggdrasil game. It could store unlimited items, and the weight of the bag would not change. After a while, Wu Ming sealed the bag and handed it to Demugos. "Looks like I have to find a lucrative job for Nasarik." Wu Ming began to plan in his mind. Chapter 40. 10th Floor, Nasarik Library. Wu Ming was reading a magic book intently. Advanced Item Creation. As his voice fell, Wu Ming had a magnificent greatsword in his hand. Wu Ming waved it casually. As the greatsword danced, it produced friction with the surrounding air, making a sound as if it was tearing the space. The skills in the game are really abnormal. With high-grade item creation alone, you can create weapons with high durability and power. High-level item creation was a skill that could create simple weapons or items in Yggdrasil, but its effect in the game was a bit weak. After all, powerful weapons or items in the game couldn't be created with high-level item creation. For example, divine artifact and world-level items. It stood to reason that this skill shouldn't change even after the game was transformed into reality, but advanced item creation. As he chanted the spell, a silver chain appeared in Wu Ming's hand. Then Wu Ming chanted another spell. Advanced item identification. Wu Ming said as if he understood something. So that's how it is, you can even create Enkidu. Is it because I'm not a player in the game, so I can use this skill? The Enkidu created with advanced item creation had the same effect as the original Enkidu. The more magical power provided during the creation, the stronger the chain would be. But there was a drawback. The items created with advanced item creation would not have any growth, and it couldn't increase the magical power output to improve its performance. That was the only drawback. However, Wu Ming took advantage of one of the advantages of advanced item creation. The created items would not disappear because of being placed for a long time, they would only be destroyed. In other words, as long as it was maintained, the created items would always exist. Of course, it still depended on what kind of item was created. If it was a weapon, it would be fine, but if it was a crystal item, it would disappear and turn into powder after a few uses. Advanced item destruction. With a bang, the great sword that Wu Ming had created earlier turned into motes of starlight and disappeared into the air. This skill isn't bad either. If I use it, it can completely rival shatter magic. Crushing magic, as the name suggested, was a type of magic that specialized in crushing. It was extremely dangerous. If something went wrong, even the caster himself would be crushed. Well, let's leave it at that for now. Wu Ming put away the fake heaven lock in his hand. Let's go to Ylanter to exchange some gold coins later. 500 gold coins? What do you think? 1,000 gold coins? Dong. Deal's deal. Walking out of the shop, Wu Ming shook the money pouch in his hand. Seriously, this shop owner is really interesting. He actually wants to buy the weapon I created for 500 gold coins. Does he think I'm easy to bully? Wu Ming said in boredom as he looked at the bulging money pouch in his hand. I didn't expect there to be such a thing as platinum coins. Is it worth 10 times more than gold coins? As for whether the shop owner lied to him or not, Wu Ming wasn't worried. After all, Wu Ming found a large shop with a good reputation. Even if he was cheated, Wu Ming still had the means to find the shop owner. It's almost time, it's time to go back. Wu Ming found a rather secluded alleyway. Portal. As the voice fell, a constantly changing black and red circular portal appeared in front of Wu Ming. Without hesitation, Wu Ming walked in. In a conference room similar to a luxurious living room, a group of guardians sat there discussing something. A constantly changing black and red circular portal appeared in the room. A group of guardians immediately stood up and put on a respectful look. Wu Ming walked out of the portal. Wu Ming-sama. Wu Ming waved his hand, stopped the guardians from saluting, and sat on the main seat. Clatter! With the sound of gold coins colliding, a bag of platinum coins fell on the table. Demigos, these are the platinum coins I got from Ylanter. You can test them later. Sir. Demigos reached out and put away the bag of platinum coins. Y'all, have you finished modifying the villager's memory? Yes, Sir Wu Ming-sama, but because you made a lot of noise that day, I followed your order and modified some of their memory. Y'all raised his hand and replied with a smile. Okay, Khan Village is like this for the time being. Remember to send some troops to lurk near Khan Village. They don't need to be strong, but they must be good at hiding. Yes, Sir Wu Ming-sama. Malay, has Nizark's concealment been completed? This was the decision made by Yair Bade and Dimugos during their discussion. After Wu Ming agreed to hide Nasarik, this task was given to Ma Lei. Yes, this, Sir Wu Ming. Nazarik's surroundings are hidden with soil and trees. The sky is also hidden with illusions. There should be no problem, Ma Lei said weakly. Yair Bade, keep in contact with Zaisha and Sebastian. If anything happens, retreat immediately. Yes, Sir Wu Ming. Don't worry. Yair Bade smiled sweetly. However, when Wu Ming saw this smile, he remembered Yair Bade's infatuated nature. Ahem, I'm going to the royal capital. Yes, I'll immediately prepare the guards to accompany you. Yair Bade's smile changed and said seriously. There's no need for the guards. I'm going alone. When Wu Ming said this, the guardians were unhappy. Please reconsider, Sir Wu Ming. Please bring some guards, Sir Wu Ming. The supreme honorable safety is the most important. Sir Wu Ming, please reconsider. Hearing everyone's words, Wu Ming smiled bitterly. All right. I'll choose someone from Nasarik to bring along. Wu Ming looked around at the guardians and saw the worry in their eyes. You guys were originally NPCs. Is the supreme honorable's life force after becoming physical? You guys are really like a group of children who can't grow up. To be honest, Wu Ming already had a sense of belonging to Nasarik. After all, Wu Ming had been on the move ever since he left the ordinary world where he had nothing to worry about. From the country of shadows to Connaught, from Britain to Babylon, although he stayed in some places for longer periods of time, Wu Ming was still a passerby. And it was unintentional that he came to this world. I'm a little envious of the players of Ain's Wugong. If only I could travel through time with Nasarik. That's right. Wu Ming seemed to have thought of something and suddenly stood up. What's wrong, Sir Wu Ming? Yair Bade looked at Wu Ming with a worried face. The other guardians also looked worried. Sorry, I just thought of something. That's all for the meeting. I'll take my leave first. After saying that, Wu Ming hurriedly opened the portal and stepped in, leaving a group of guardians staring at each other in bewilderment. Chapter 41. After Wu Ming left the meeting room, he immediately went to his bedroom. Wu Ming stretched out his hand, and a twisted golden scepter appeared in his hand. I hope my idea can be realized. With that, Wu Ming crossed his legs and activated the floating function of the scepter of Anziwergong, allowing it to float in front of him. Wu Ming closed his eyes and began to permeate his mind power into the scepter of Anziwergong. 7 days later, outside Wu Ming's bedroom on the 9th floor of Nasarik, a group of guardians surrounded Wu Ming's bedroom door. Annabelle, what happened to Master Wu Ming? It's been 6 days since the planned departure time. You just said, Master Wu Ming ordered us not to disturb him. Don't worry. How can I not be worried? If something happens to Lord Wu Ming... Bade had a heartbroken expression on his face as he yelled heartbreakingly at a female servant who was standing guard outside the door. Annabelle said very calmly, Master Yair Bade, I am also very worried about Master Wu Ming, but Master Wu Ming has clearly stated that no one can enter without permission. I am very sorry. All right, Yair Bade. Dimugos, who was standing at the side, pushed up his glasses. Since Master Wu Ming said this, he must have his reasons. Let's leave it at that for today. Go back and continue the work that Master Wu Ming gave you. That's right. Although we come to Master Wu Ming's bedroom every day to wait for Master Wu Ming to come out, we cannot slack off on the work that Master Wu Ming gave us. Cositas said with an unusually hoarse voice as he breathed out cold air. Let's go, Yair Bade. Master Wu Ming will be fine. Yair Bade pulled Yair Bade aside. How can I? That fake breast is finally not in Nasarik. How can I miss such a good opportunity? I think it's not good to sneak away while Satya is not here, Ma Lei said weakly. Just as the commotion was going on, a large amount of magic power came from Wu Ming's room. The magic power even destroyed Wu Ming's bedroom door. The large amount of magic power in the room condensed into a magic power mist that kept leaking out of the door. Master Wu Ming. In an instant, the guardians, including the maid Annabelle, panicked. I'm fine. Wu Ming's voice came from within the magic power mist. This can't be wasted. With that, the mana mist that had been coming out of the room began to shrink back into the room. Finally, all of the magic power mist was the staff in Wu Ming's staff. Was the staff of staff. However, at this time, although the appearance of the staff of staff did not change, the guardians who had been lucky enough to see this staff found that Nizarik's secret treasure, the staff of staff, had become more sacred. And those who had not seen this staff, including Annabelle, were in awe of it from the bottom of their hearts. Master Wu Ming. Everyone present saluted to Wu Ming, knelt on one knee, and bowed their heads to greet him. Seeing this scene, Wu Ming smiled bitterly. I clearly told them not to salute like this and just bow, but they refused on the grounds of not being disrespectful to Master Wu Ming in public. Really, a group of troublemakers. Get up, everyone. Yes. After everyone got up, Wu Ming continued. If you want to know what happened, I'll explain it in the conference hall later. Yair Abed, get someone to clean up the room. Annabelle Gamma, go get ready and follow me to the royal city later. Yes. Master Wu Ming. Master Wu Ming. A moment later, the guardians gathered in the room where the previous meeting was held. The guardians sat on the chairs and quietly looked at Wu Ming, who was holding the staff of staff. Guardians, now, I want to announce something that is worthy of me, worthy of you, and worthy of the entire Nasaric to be excited. Wu Ming said with a charming smile. After the guardians heard this, they all sat up straight. Before the announcement, I want to ask a question. Wu Ming glanced at the guardians and said, do you have any thoughts about the world we were in before, Yggdrasil? As soon as these words came out, the guardians' bodies tensed up. The guardians stood up together, knelt on one knee, and bowed their heads. Where Master Wu Ming is where we are, and we will always follow Master Wu Ming. Now, we have the ability to travel to other worlds, and this ability is the treasure of Nasaric that I have, the staff of staff. All the guardians' eyes lit up. However, this was Wu Ming's lie. Unfortunately, we can't choose the worlds we can travel to. Then, Master Wu Ming, you mean that the first world we travel to might be Yggdrasil, and the last world we travel to might be Yggdrasil? Demiurgos pushed his glasses and said, correct, but there is also the possibility that we will never return to Yggdrasil. After all, there are too many worlds. My biggest interest is traveling, so I may leave Nasaric in the future. Master Wu Ming. Hearing what Wu Ming said, everyone was anxious, especially Yair Bade, who looked like he was about to cry. He's already crying, Wu Ming complained in his heart. Don't worry, I will take you and our Nasaric with me. Now, the plan has changed. Except for the members of Nasaric who are outside, all members are not allowed to go out without my permission. Use message to inform Sebastian and Zaisha to collect the necessary information as soon as possible and return to Nasaric as soon as possible. Leave this matter to the Guardian's chief supervisor, Yair Bade. Yes, Master Wu Ming. Wu Ming looked at Demiurgos. Demiurgos. Yes, Master. Raise the alert level of Nasaric again to beyond the highest alert level. I believe that as the commander of the Guardians, you will be able to do it well. Yes, Master Wu Ming, I will not disappoint you. I will definitely break through the highest alert level of Nasaric. As for the matter of the staff of Anziergong traveling between worlds, you can spread it on your own. The first and third levels will be given to Cositas, the fifth level will be given to Yuri and Mare, and the eighth level will be given to Demiurgos. After completing the corresponding task, stand by. Dismissed. Yes, Master Wu Ming. After a flash of light, Wu Ming left using the staff of Anziergong's teleportation function. The Guardians quickly took action, and Nasaric ushered in a big change. At this moment, Wu Ming and Annabelle were walking on the road to the royal capital. Chapter 42. In the carriage. Wu Ming was resting with his eyes closed. After Wu Ming came to this different world, he had been wearing the white holy cloth of the Uruk. Because he was going to the capital, Wu Ming changed into a set that met the standards of this different world. White underwear, a black coat, a pair of black trousers, and a pair of black boots. His neat short hair was constantly floating with the wind coming in from the window. There were no traces of erosion by time on his face. He still looked like a young man. Outside, Annabelle was driving the horse and driving the carriage at the moment. He wore a white shirt with black collar and sleeves, brown trousers, and brown boots that reached his calves. He wore a brown cloak that covered his body, and an ordinary sheathed long sword hung at his waist. Annabelle looked at Wu Ming, who was resting with his eyes closed in the carriage from time to time. Obviously, Annabelle already knew the new function of the staff of Ain's Ergong. Feeling the gaze outside, Wu Ming had to smile bitterly in his heart. I didn't expect them to be so surprised after knowing that Nasaric can travel between worlds. I was obviously lying. No, it's not a lie. After all, I can now take Nasaric with me to travel between worlds. Previously, Wu Ming thought that he entered this different world after fusing with a light ball. After a later judgment, the light ball was the big underground tomb of Nasaric. In other words, the big underground tomb of Nasaric should have become part of Wu Ming. But because of the nobility of Wu Ming's bloodline, his bloodline was automatically expelled from the big underground tomb of Nasaric after Wu Ming entered this world. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been Nasaric on the grassland near Urantir. Instead, there would have been a huge dragon lying there. But because Nasaric and Wu Ming had fused for a short time, and the staff of Ain's Ergong could be said to be closely related to the big underground tomb of Nasaric, Wu Ming suddenly had an idea. What would happen if the staff of Anziergen became my noble phantasm? Wu Ming was filled with curiosity and unknowns. That was why Wu Ming went into seclusion in his bedroom for 7 days despite his plans being disrupted. These 7 days were used to upgrade the staff of Anziergen into a noble artifact. As Wu Ming had fused with Nizaric's underground grave for a short period of time, the time it took for Wu Ming to transform the staff of Anziwergong into a relic was much shorter than the time it took for other relics to evolve. After the staff of Anziwergong was transformed into a relic, it had 2 abilities. Firstly, it was because the staff of Anzurgen had a large number of magic skills. After it was upgraded to a noble relic, it became a super weapon that could release tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of magic spells. Secondly, Anziergong Guild's stronghold was located in the underground graveyard of Nasaric. The staff of Anziergong was the guild weapon of Anziergong Guild. If the guild weapon was destroyed, the guild would be forcefully disbanded. The guild weapon had the highest authority in the guild. After the staff of Anziergen was upgraded into a noble relic, its ability became to store the underground graveyard of Nasaric into the staff of Anziergen. It could also form an enchantment that eroded the world, and summon the underground graveyard of Nasaric to its master in the form of magic. In short, it was the reality marble of the world in the shape of the moon. The magic that could instantiate the scenery in one's mind was called reality marble. Once the reality marble was activated, it would change the surrounding space into a completely different scenery, shaping the caster's mind and eroding the real world. That was why Wu Ming said that the staff of Anziergen could allow the underground graveyard of Nasaric to travel between worlds. However, what I care about is the second ability of the noble relic, the staff of Anziergen. The biggest advantage of the reality marble was that everything in the enchantment was immortal. The people or things in the Nizaric's underground graveyard were killed or destroyed, and they would only turn into magic residue, drifting away with the wind, and it had no effect on the people or things themselves. Even if they were destroyed, killed, or even destroyed the entire reality marble, as long as the caster had enough magic power, he could summon them again. In that case, Wu Ming could use the second ability of the staff of Anziergen without worrying about the guardian's safety. That's great. Wu Ming couldn't help but say what was on his mind. What's wrong, Wu Ming-sama? Annabelle, who was outside the carriage, couldn't help but ask. No, nothing. Wu Ming smiled helplessly. Then he remembered something and said, Didn't I tell you to call me Villo-sama? Villo there answered. The carriage stopped. Yes, Wu Ming-sama. Annabelle instantly ran to the carriage, knelt on one knee, and said with her head down. It's Villo. Mr. Villo. Wu Ming raised his voice and shouted. Yes, Mr. Villo-sama. Wu Ming was silent for a while. Forget it, just call me that, let's move on. Mr. Villo-sama. Wu Ming felt like the glass in his heart was broken. Wu Ming-sama, we're here. Hearing Annabelle's words, Wu Ming opened his eyes. He poked his head out and looked at the slightly plain gate of the royal city. We're finally here. In fact, Wu Ming was a little anxious about coming to the royal city before he upgraded the staff of Anziergen into a noble artifact. After all, Nasserik wanted to survive in this world, and it was inevitable that he would have to deal with the natives of this world. However, after finding a way to take Nasserik out of this world, Wu Ming was not so anxious about Nasserik taking root in this world. After all, there is no world that Nasserik likes to move to, so it's better to take root in this world for the time being. That was Wu Ming's thought. Let's go, Annabelle, find a hotel to stay first. Mr. Villo-sama. Wu Ming was speechless. Soon, Wu Ming and Annabelle stayed in a good hotel with the little money they had left. Because when they were in Khan Village, Gu Jiefu once said, "If Mr. Villo wants to come to the royal city, please come to me and let me do my best." After recalling the address mentioned by Gu Jiefu, Wu Ming took Annabelle to Gu Jiefu's residence. It was a very ordinary house without any special features. Except for Annabelle, who was slightly dissatisfied, Wu Ming felt that this house was good. Wu Ming stepped forward and knocked on the door. After waiting for a while, no one responded. It seems that Gu Jiefu is not at home. Forget it, let's go back to the hotel first, Annabelle. A mere bug can make the Supreme wait like this. Mr. Villo-sama, please rest assured that I will personally tie it up and bring it to the hotel. With that said, she was about to raise her hand to cast magic on the house. Wu Ming was just about to stop Annabelle, and suddenly a voice that was quite familiar to Wu Ming came from a distance. Mr. Villo-sama. Chapter 43. Wu Ming looked at the source of the voice. A strong man in his 30s stood there in plain clothes. Long time no see, Sir Gu Jiefu. Wu Ming waved and smiled. Please forgive me for not being able to entertain you at my humble abode. Gu Jiefu put 2 glasses of water in front of Wu Ming, who was sitting. Isn't this proof of Sir Gu Jiefu's integrity? Wu Ming didn't mind and took a glass of water to drink. Annabelle, don't stand there, sit down and drink a glass of water. This is an order. Villo-sama. Annabelle, who was standing behind Wu Ming, had to sit down after hearing Wu Ming's order. As for the address, after Wu Ming thought about it again and again, he still let Annabelle call him sir. After all, Mr. Rosin was stranger than Rosin. Thank you again, Villo-sama. If it weren't for you, I would have died in Khan Village. Looking at Gu Jiefu solemnly thanking him, Wu Ming waved his hand casually. You're welcome, Sir Gu Jiefu. I have to trouble you to come to the capital this time. Gu Jiefu was taken aback and then smiled bitterly. I thought Sir Villo came to me to introduce you to the king. It seems that I'm flattered. Then he looked serious. So, Sir Villo, what's the matter? Wu Ming stretched out his hand, and a 3-fist-sized rectangular gray-black metal appeared in his hand. This is? Steel? Gu Jiefu was more excited after seeing it. Yes, that was the pure steel block created by Wu Ming with advanced item creation. Not only the shape was good for forging weapons, but the density was also higher than the steel produced in this world. Such a large piece of finished steel. Is Sir Villo here to sell this piece of steel to me? Wu Ming smiled. No, Sir Gu Jiefu, I'm here to do business with you. I have a lot of finished steel blocks of this size. Wu Ming put the steel block on the table. I wonder if Sir Gu Jiefu will be able to eat it. Gu Jiefu thought for a while. If there are really a lot of them, I can't make the decision. How about this, Your Excellency Villo? It just so happens that Her Royal Highness is looking for me. Let me bring you to see Her Royal Highness. Oh, could it be the Golden Princess who proposed many wise policies in the kingdom? Wu Ming's eyes flashed. Yes, it's Her Royal Highness the Golden Princess. What do you think? Of course, no problem. Although he said so, Wu Ming thought in his heart. Can a princess come up with so many outstanding examples? I feel like there's something wrong with her. Soon, Wu Ming and Annabelle were taken to a villa near the palace by Gujiefu. Although it was called a villa, it did not look luxurious. Instead, it gave off a simple feeling. After following the servant to the living room, Wu Ming and Gujiefu chatted while waiting for the arrival of the Golden Princess. Annabelle, who was standing behind Wu Ming, was somewhat unhappy. She said something like, "A mere insect dares to make Lord Wu Ming, a supreme expert, wait. This subordinate will definitely make her pay the price." Although Wu Ming deliberately suppressed it, Gujiefu didn't hear it. After a while, a sweet voice came. "I'm sorry to keep you waiting." Wu Ming looked at the source of the voice. What caught Wu Ming's eyes was the golden blonde hair. The visitor was wearing a white princess dress with other colored decorations. She wore necklace-like ornaments on her neck and forehead, and a golden petite crown on her head. "Sorry to keep you waiting, Mr. Gujiefu. I heard that you brought someone important, so I prepared a little. It's my fault for not asking Her Royal Highness in advance." After some small talk, Gujiefu introduced Wu Ming to the princess. "This is the Vilo Silensword who saved my life in Khan village." Gujiefu then introduced the princess to Wu Ming. "This is the third princess of the kingdom, Lady Lana." The princess looked at Wu Ming. "Thank you, Mr. Vilo Silensword. Thank you very much for saving Mr. Gujiefu." Lana thanked Wu Ming as soon as she came up. "I'm Lana Ter Chardon Lyle Van Seve. I'm sorry I didn't see your name on the newspaper." Wu Ming looked at the naive Lana without any change in his expression. "It's my honor to see a commoner like me, Princess Lana," Wu Ming said half-jokingly. "You're funny, Mr. Silensword." Lana covered her mouth and laughed. Wu Ming looked at the beautiful person in front of him and thought. Lana Ter Chardon Lyle Van Seve, the third princess of the kingdom of Rystich. She was known for her beauty and wisdom, and was praised as the Golden Princess by the people. But she looks a little like Morgan Le Fay. "So, Mr. Gujiefu, why did you bring Mr. Silensword to see me?" Princess Lana asked the question in her heart. "It's like this, Your Royal Highness." Gujiefu took out the stainless steel that Wu Ming provided and explained the purpose of Wu Ming's visit to Princess Lana. "So that's how it is." Princess Lana, who understood the cause and effect, had a look of sudden realization. "Don't worry, Mr. Silensword. I will help you find a trustworthy merchant. Please allow me to purchase some of your stainless steel as a member of the royal family." Wu Ming didn't have a problem with that. "I don't have a problem with the kingdom buying it all. After all, I'm just a merchant here to sell things, Your Royal Highness." Wu Ming smiled. "Just call me Lana. I believe that a person who saved the kingdom's warrior captain must be a good person." Lana smiled at Wu Ming. This sentence surprised Wu Ming. After all, in Wu Ming's eyes, he wasn't a good person. Whether it was in Connaught, Britain, Babylon, or now Nassarik, Wu Ming was always protecting his own interests. In order to let Maeve let him go, Wu Ming promised Maeve to help him finish the war. In order to protect Britain, Wu Ming had done a lot of dirty things. He had thought of buying goods and murder countless times. In Babylon, with Gilgamesh there, Wu Ming didn't have to do too much for Babylon. However, it was also because Wu Ming couldn't defeat the gods of Sumer pantheon and could only bluff. Otherwise, Wu Ming wouldn't have left with Enkidu, who faked his death. In Nassarik, the original Nassarik people were people with a negative sense of justice. Wu Ming didn't ask them to change. He only advised a few people not to be too hostile towards humans. Of course, that was only towards people who were kind. As for people who were full of evil intentions and scum, even if they were killed by the people of Nassarik, Wu Ming wouldn't bat an eye. Wu Ming was such a person who was full of egoism and did as he pleased. Hearing Lana praise Wu Ming as a good person, Wu Ming was a bit absent-minded. "Since it's daily, Princess Lana should also call me a Vilo. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair." Wu Ming said. "Yes, Mr. Vilo. Well, since they don't have any evil intentions, I don't need to care whether they miss Morgan Le Fay or not. It doesn't affect me anyway." Just like that, Wu Ming's merchant plan was successfully carried out. Just as Wu Ming and Lana were happily talking, a young man came into the room. Chapter 44. I'm very sorry, Your Highness Lana, I'm late. A young man opened the door and walked in. The young man had short blonde hair, a youthful face, and a resolute face. He was wearing white armor. Although he looked young, he gave off a very reliable feeling. Lana smiled and shook her head. It's okay, Clem. I'm here to discuss something with Mr. Jedjeff. Not to mention, Mr. Jedjeff also brought Mr. Vilo Silensword, who saved Mr. Jedjeff's life in Khan Village. Hearing that it was the person who saved Jedjeff's life, the young man named Clem's eyes lit up. He turned his head and looked at the only male in the room other than Jedjeff. That direct gaze made Annabelle a little unhappy. Just as Annabelle was about to say something, Wu Ming reached out his hand to stop her. After all, if the situation was not right, Annabelle would speak very arrogantly. He had to stop her. Is your name Clem? Do you have something to ask me? Yes, Mr. Silensword. I want to ask you how to become stronger. Clem, you're being rude. Princess Lana shouted. Jedjeff seemed to know something. He didn't say anything and just watched quietly. At this moment, no one said anything. Suddenly, a female voice was heard. You still haven't given up, boy. Everyone looked at the closed door. The voice came from outside the door. Is it Gragland? Princess Lana asked. The door was pushed open. The first to come in was a tall and sturdy blonde woman wearing red armor. It was as if a woman's head was pressed against a strong man's body. It was quite out of place. You should also stop talking, Gragland. Then came a pair of twin sisters. They were almost identical. Oh, Hineth, are you too interested in this virgin? Ha! Her hair was tied up with a golden broom. She wore a scarf around her neck like a mask. Her upper body was wearing armor that only covered her chest. Her lower body was in shorts. Overall, it looked like a rather revealing female ninja outfit. Their clothes were embroidered with red and blue threads and patterns respectively. The red one was Tina, and the blue one was Tia. What nonsense are you talking about? Looks like it's not suitable for you to go out today, Glenn. Following that, a petite masked woman with a spirited expression walked in. He wore a red hooded cloak over his black clothes and a mask with a red gem embedded on his forehead. Strands of golden hair peeked out from the hood and mask. All right, Gigrin, Irby Rouet, this is Her Highness Guest Hall. Stop messing around. The person who spoke seemed to be the captain. She was a beautiful woman with long blonde hair. She wore red tights and a blue skirt. She wore white cloth armor on her chest, a pair of white gauntlets on her forearms, and white protective boots on her calves. Oh Hajisai, you're here? Princess Lana, on the other hand, was quite happy to see this woman who seemed to be the team leader. She stood up and ran over to hold Haggis' hand. Ah, Lana, I'm sorry to disturb you while you're talking to the warrior chief. Let me introduce you. This is the leader of Wild Rose, my friend, Haggis Elba Drew Eindora. Hello, Haggis said with a smile. This is Mr. Vilo Silensword, the one who saved Mr. Jedjeff's life in Khan Village. Next to him is Mr. Vilo's guard, Miss Annabelle. Just call me Vilo, I'm not a pedantic person. Wu Ming stood up and greeted Wild Rose's people. Haha, you're so cool. Are you interested in having a go with me, handsome? Gigrin's rough voice came. You aphid, don't you know what you look like? You'd better go back to the furnace and be reborn first before you consider whether to serve Sir Vilo. Annabelle said mercilessly. Oh, you look so arrogant, let's go out and practice. Gigrin. Annabelle. Wu Ming and Haggis stopped the fight at the same time. Well, let's solve Clem's problem first. At this time, Gigrin returned to the topic. Kid, you want to ask the strong to tell you how to become strong again, right? Clem was silent. Gigrin's rough voice continued. I've said it before, the so-called saying that you can become strong through hard work is no longer suitable for you. Although some heroes also became strong through hard work, you've worked hard enough. I believe that no one in the kingdom can be said to be more hardworking than you. Give up, kid, you can't become strong anymore. Gigren's words made Clem's face pale, but from his determined eyes, it was clear that Clem had no intention of giving up. That's true, Wuming said slowly. But there are many ways to become strong. Wuming looked at Clem. Let me ask you, why do you want to become strong? Clem looked at Princess Lana, and then looked at Wuming. I want to become strong, to be able to protect Princess Lana. After that, there was another moment of silence. A moment later, protect? Wuming smiled. Come out with me. After that, Wuming walked out of the room. Annabelle glanced at Clem and followed Wuming. Clem and Lana's faces were filled with joy. Could that handsome guy really make Clem stronger? Let's go out and see, Irby Rouet, who was wearing a mask, said. Rose Tsang and the others followed. In the courtyard, Wuming and Clem stood opposite each other. Don't you need a weapon? Clem asked. Wuming smiled and shook his head. Come at me with all you've got, Clem. Otherwise, you won't have the chance later. Although his words were arrogant, Wuming was not wrong. Then I'll go, Mr. Sirenthold. After that, Clem rushed forward with his sword. Clem swung his sword down, but Wuming's body swayed and dodged the attack. Seeing how easily Wuming dodged his attack, Clem swung his sword harder and faster, while Wuming continued to dodge. Clem had already swung his sword a dozen times, but none of them hit Wuming, and Wuming did not even take half a step back. Clem, have you heard of a saying? Wuming kept dodging Clem's attacks and said, when a person is in danger, they will explode with unprecedented power. Clem replied. After hearing this, Wuming squinted his eyes. Are you ready? Without waiting for Clem's reply, Wuming released his terrifying aura. The magic power emitted from Wuming's body wreaked havoc on the ground around him, causing dirt to fly everywhere. Everyone present except Clem felt like they were facing a dragon, and their eyes were full of fear. Clem, who was targeted by Wuming's aura, was unable to move, and fear continued to erode Clem's heart. Let me see your determination to protect. Chapter 45. No, if this goes on, I'll die. Clem thought in his heart. I'm going. Wuming said calmly as he raised his seemingly normal arm. He clenched his fist and punched towards Clem at a very slow speed. Although the speed seemed slow to Clem, Clem could feel it. If I get hit, I'll definitely die. Everyone looked at Wuming and Clem nervously. Although the situation was dangerous, they still believed that Wuming wouldn't kill Clem. Her Highness Lana. Feeling his heartbeat, Clem thought about the face of the person he swore to serve for the rest of his life. Suddenly, Clem felt the chain in his body break. Pa-dash! The shackles that restricted his abilities were broken. Wuming's fist wind formed a tornado, sweeping up the dirt on the ground. In an instant, dust filled the air. Lana, Rose Tsang, and the others stared at the dust in the courtyard without blinking, wondering what the outcome would be. Slowly, the smoke and dust dispersed, revealing the figures of two people. Clem! Princess Lana couldn't help but call out. Clem's posture didn't change as he stood on the spot. The sword in his hand was swung forward, held tightly by Wuming's other hand. Wuming's arm that swung out stopped beside Clem's head. Wuming slowly retracted his arm and smiled at Clem. Congratulations, you've broken through your limits. This sentence was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. After Clem heard it, his body couldn't support itself and fell to the ground. Breathing heavily and feeling the pain on his body, Clem looked at the sky. He had never felt the sky was so blue before. Even under my aura, you can still dodge and swing your sword. Seems like your awareness is quite strong, Clem. Wuming then took out a healing potion from Dragonist and passed it to Princess Lana. This is a healing potion, Princess Lana. Give it to Clem. Everyone looked at the red healing potion with doubt in their hearts. After all, in this world, healing potions were all blue in color. Red potion. But under the mask of Ibiruai's face, there was a slight change. What is it, Ibiruai? Gedgeland asked Ibiruai. No, I'm fine. After Lana fed the healing potion to Clem, everyone returned to the meeting room. Clem asked impatiently as soon as he sat down, fully recovered. Lord Villo, just now The Villo understood Clem's doubts and asked. A person's brain will limit most of their skills to prevent damage to their body. Just now, you broke through part of the limit under my pressure, which is why your body is in so much pain. After taking a sip of the tea, Wu Ming put it down. Now, you should be able to control the release of this restriction. You should be able to sense it yourself. Yes, thank you very much for your guidance, Sir Villo. This humble one is eternally grateful. Well, Virgin, you have indeed become stronger, although it was only for a moment. You should have reached the level of a platinum-level adventurer. Gedgeland said from the side. In this world, there was a profession called an adventurer. Wu Ming knew from the interrogation of the people from the Sunshine Holy Bible that adventurers were people who dealt with monsters. These people were similar to multi-purpose mercenaries and were managed by the Adventurers Guild. The adventurers' level was differentiated by the rarity of the metal. The metal that symbolized their identity from lowest to highest were copper, iron, silver, gold, platinum, mithril, orichalcum, and stainless steel. Hearing this, Wu Ming reached out his hand, and a thin white knight's sword appeared in Wu Ming's hand. Then how about adding this? Wu Ming tossed the knight's sword to Clem. This is stainless steel. Clem was confused. It's a pure stainless steel knight's sword. When everyone heard this, they were all shocked. Although a small amount of stainless steel could increase the weapon's quality, no one would use pure stainless steel to forge a weapon. Moreover, with such a large piece of stainless steel, it was hard to say if they could find a blacksmith who could forge a pure stainless steel weapon. After all, stainless steel was the hardest metal in this world. How can I, Mr. Villo? I can't accept such a valuable weapon. Clem's expression was determined not to accept it, and Rose Tsong's expression was the same. After all, no one would be so nice for no reason. Okay, just accept it after all. I still have something to ask of Her Royal Highness. Of course, Mr. Villo. Everyone was confused. After all, accepting a request without hearing it was strange no matter how they looked at it. But after thinking about it for a while, Hagrid felt relieved. Wu Ming also looked at Princess Lana in confusion, then seemed to have thought of something. It seems that Her Royal Highness Lana values Sir Clem a lot. Princess Lana just smiled sweetly. Of course, after all, I like Clem the most. Clem's young face blushed when he heard that. Then, Her Royal Highness Lana is not afraid that I will make a request that will harm the kingdom? You must be joking, as I said before. I believe that Mr. Villo, who saved His Excellency the Warrior, is a good person. Wu Ming waved his hand. Forget about being a good person. I just thought that Gujiefu was a good person, so I helped him. That's enough. Lana smiled. My request is simple. If you have any business in the future, please consider me first. No one in the conference room spoke. A moment later. Is that all, Mr. Villo? Princess Lana asked. That's all. How about it? Can you accept it? Okay, no problem. But with such a small request, you let me accept such a valuable treasure. Clem was still a little unbalanced. It's okay, Clem, just accept it. This is a reward for your determination to protect. Wu Ming smiled. Mr. Villo, I will live up to your expectations, and I will use it well. Clem accepted it quite solemnly. Looking at Rose Tsong and the others present, Wu Ming looked at Princess Lana. Then that's it for today. I'll take my leave first. Wu Ming stood up. It's really a blessing to talk with you. Mr. Villo's thinking is really advanced. It couldn't be helped. Previously, Wu Ming was discussing business matters with Princess Lana. As they talked, the topic deviated from the main topic. They even talked about the country, policies and such. Wu Ming even expressed his own opinion, which made Princess Lana very surprised. After all, Wu Ming was a modern person, and his ideology and culture were definitely more advanced. Of course, Her Royal Highness Lana's opinion surprised me, as expected of the Golden Princess. After a while, Wu Ming and Annabelle began to leave. When they walked to the gate of the courtyard, one of Rose Tsong who came to see them off suddenly shouted, Mr. Wu Ming! Wu Ming paused after hearing it, but he recovered in an instant and continued to walk forward. Wait a minute, Mr. Villo. Chapter 46. Wu Ming turned his head and looked at the person who spoke. What can I do for you, Miss Ibiruai? Ibiruai did not speak. Gedjlan said quietly to Ibiruai, Hey, what's the matter, Ibiruai? Why did you suddenly stop him? Also, who is this Wu Ming that you called out earlier? After a pause, Ibiruai looked at her and said, Your Royal Highness, I would like to invite Sir Villo and Sir Gajef to join the plan. Hey, Ibiruai, Gajef is fine, but why do you want to invite the person you just met for the first time? Yes, Ibiruai, I don't agree with this idea. Wu Ming looked at her quietly and did not speak. It seems that Miss Vampire seems to know me. No, she knows Wu Ming. It shouldn't be, I just came to this world not long ago. How could she know me? I don't have a problem with Sir Villo, but Sir Villo has just met us, and I have received Sir Villo's favor. I really shouldn't bother Sir Villo. Princess Lana looked embarrassed. I don't have a problem with that, but let's talk about it tomorrow. Don't you have something to discuss? I will visit again tomorrow. Goodbye. Wu Ming and Annabelle left. Song Rose's leader, Hoggies, asked Ibiruai. Ibiruai, what's going on? Why do you care so much about that man? It's okay, let's discuss Hachiko with Her Royal Highness first. After saying that, she went into the room, leaving a few people who didn't know what to do. On the other side, Annabelle walked behind Wu Ming and asked, Do we need to get rid of that woman? No, I really want to know where she knew my name. Wu Ming touched his chin and thought. Strictly speaking, that bottle of red healing potion and the pressure I released to train Clem have the possibility of being exposed. But, even if I'm exposed as Wu Ming, how did she know this name? That Wu Ming just now carries a lot of weight. Well, let's go back to the hotel first. I want to contact Yair Bird. Yes, Sir Wu Ming. After discussing with Princess Lana, Song Rose's group left the princess's house. On the way back, Gedjlan began to ask, What's going on, Irby Rue? You're making us very worried. Hoggies, Hina, and Tia also looked at Ibiruai. My apologies, I was just thinking of a benefactor of mine. Lord Varen, you look too much like him. Ibiruai replied. Feeling Ibiruai's loneliness, Song Rose's group sighed silently in their hearts. In the hotel, Wu Ming took out the scroll called Message and was ready to contact Yair Bird. Message was a long-range communication spell, which could also be said to be a skill. There was such a spell in the library, but Wu Ming didn't learn it. Message. Wu Ming put his hand on his temple and began to contact Yair Bird. Wu Ming, Sama. Yair Bird, I have an accident here. Immediately recall Sebastian and Zaisha, and prohibit the members of Nasserik from going out. I'm very sorry, Wu Ming, Sama, Zaisha betrayed us. What? Nazarik's underground tomb. A black and red circular hole appeared at the main entrance of Nazarik's surface. Wu Ming walked out of it. Annabelle was left in the Royal City Hotel by Wu Ming. Annabelle helped Wu Ming to refuse everything. The reason was that Wu Ming had some personal matters to deal with. Wu Ming stretched out his hand, and a ring appeared in his hand. After putting it on, Wu Ming launched instant transmission and disappeared. Between the thrones. Yair Bird was standing next to the throne, waiting quietly. Wu Ming instantly appeared between the thrones. Seeing Wu Ming, Yair Bird knelt on one knee. Wu Ming, Sama. Get up quickly, Bird. What's going on with Zaisha's betrayal? Yair Bird stood up, waved his hands in white silk gloves a few times in the air, and a crystal screen appeared in the air. Although Nasserik has been materialized, some mechanisms can still be digitized. For example, Yair Bird pulled up the list of Nazarik's guardians. Seeing Zaisha Bradford's name in bright red, Wu Ming asked, Is this the reason for Zaisha's betrayal? That's not the reason. When you left Nasserik, I told Zaisha and Sebastian to complete the information gathering as soon as possible. Zaisha has already returned ahead of time. However, when passing by Khan village, Zaisha seemed to have encountered an enemy. After that, I couldn't contact her. That's why I checked the list of guardians and learned of Zaisha's betrayal. Wu Ming sat on the throne, looked at Zaisha's bright red name, which was different from the other guardians' white names, and fell into deep thought. If I'm not mistaken, the enemy should be from the Celian theocracy. I deduced the same thing when I discussed with Demugos, but because of Lord Wu Ming's orders, I didn't send troops to Khan Village to check. Send the highest-level assassin to the vicinity of Khan Village to check the situation. Understood. Yair Bedard left. A moment later, Yair Bedard returned to the throne. Lord Wu Ming, Zaisha is fully armed and stopped on the plains near Khan Village. We sent our subordinates to question her, but Zaisha didn't answer as if she was unconscious. Our initial judgment is that Zaisha is under mind control. To be able to affect the undead who are immune to mind control, the other party has at least a world-class item, Wu Ming analyzed after pondering for a moment. Wu Ming frowned. Although Wu Ming was much stronger than these level 100 NPCs, if he could control Zaisha's mind, Wu Ming did not dare to say that it was ineffective against him. The 8-limb blade assassin bugs didn't find an ambush in the vicinity, but we can't be sure that the other party isn't monitoring Zaisha. Yair Bedard, what's the solution to being under mind control with a world-class item? Yair Bedard thought for a moment before replying. I'm afraid the only solution is to kill Zaisha and revive her. However, I can't guarantee that she will recover after being revived. Wu Ming fell into deep thought. As expected, mental labor isn't suitable for me. Yair Bedard. Yes. Gather the guardians. I have something to say. Understood. Soon, a group of guardians gathered in the throne hall, including Sebastian, who had already returned. Dear guardians, I'm sure all of you know that Zaisha is under mind control. Wu Ming said calmly. I want to ask, do you have a way to remove the mind control on Zaisha without killing her? Chapter 47. Looking at the silent guardians, Wu Ming thought to himself. It seems that I can only kill Zaisha. I'm very sorry, Wu Ming-sama, we can't solve the problem for you. It's a crime worthy of death. Demugos said in a serious tone. Don't say that, Demugos. I'm too harsh. After all, that's the effect of a world-class item, and it's not so easy to remove. Wu Ming shook his head. First, I want to give you the world-class item. Wu Ming's words were shocking, and the guardians immediately knelt down and bowed their heads. Demugos, you know the reason, right? Demugos still knelt on one knee and bowed his head. Yes, Wu Ming-sama. Wu Ming-sama gave us the world-class item to prevent us from being affected by the enemy's world-class item. Wu Ming nodded. Demugos is still smart. With that, Wu Ming waved his hand. A sword, a cup, a large scroll, and a pair of gloves appeared in the air and fell to the hands of Cositas, Yuri, Mare, and Demugos. Because Yair Bade already has the world-class item Infernal Abyss, I won't give you the world-class item this time. Yes, Wu Ming-sama. Yair Bade said with a regretful look. The names of these 4 items are Blade of Billions, Cup of Zaisha, Mountain River Map, and Avarice and Desireless. I will tell you how to use them and their effects after the meeting. Thank you, Wu Ming-sama, for giving us these treasures. We will not hesitate to go through fire and water for you. Several people said at the same time. One more thing, I'm going to fight Zaisha alone. How can that be, Wu Ming-sama? Please think twice, Wu Ming-sama. Wu Ming-sama. Silence. Wu Ming shouted. We can't be sure if the other party will suddenly use a teleportation spell to teleport over. Moreover, we can't guarantee our chances of victory if you guys go. Most importantly, you are like newborn children. I am someone who has accepted your loyalty. How can I let you kill each other? Lord Wu Ming, since you've already made your decision as your subordinates, we shouldn't say anything more. However, please promise us that you'll return safely, Bade said. I agree. In Wu Ming's bedroom, Wu Ming placed many props in front of him. It feels like I'm raiding a dungeon. Seriously, how can someone like me, who has experienced many battles, be used to preparing for a one-on-one battle like a game. As mentioned before, after Nasaric transformed into a physical body, he retained some of his digitized parts. For example, Nazaric's members could use magic to detect a target's HP and MP, and Yair Abed could also manage Nasaric through the system. Sure enough, it's more suitable for me to fight directly. Can I determine if there are any players on the other side? At the end of the meeting, Demiurgos proposed that after a series of anti-teleportation spells, anti-detection spells, and other spells were placed near Satya, Wuming would fight Satya one-on-one. In Wuming's view, whether it was NPCs or players in Yggdrasil, their abilities were not strong. At least in Wuming's view, no one in Nasaric could defeat him without using special skills or items. The only hidden danger now was that he didn't know if the other party had any special items or skills. I can only say that it's a game. After all, without these special items or skills, the game would become boring. I guess so. After all, I don't play games very much. Wuming picked up the 2 rings in front of him and put them on his left and right fingers. The names of these 2 rings were Meteor Ring and Eternal Calamity Serpent Ring. Eternal Calamity Serpent Ring was one of the 20 world-class items. Because he wanted to guard against the opponent's world-class item effect, and because it was convenient to carry, Wuming chose this world-class item. In Yggdrasil, World Tree, the effect was to make a wish to the game company, and the effect could be extended to the whole game. Of course, whether the content of the wish could be approved was another matter. After transforming into a physical body, the effect of the ring became Make a Wish, a real wish. However, because of the special effect of disappearing and randomly appearing in a corner of the world after using it, Wuming didn't dare to use it casually. At most, he would only use it when he was in danger. Meteor Ring, on the other hand, could cast the super magic Wish to the Stars unconditionally. The effect had 3 weakened versions of the wish skill, and there were many restrictions. After 3 wishes were made, there would be a long cooldown period. It could be said that it was an item that could determine the winner. After all, Wuming didn't have many ultimate skills. Other than Yggdrasil, and Exsilver, Meteor Silver, Noble Phantasm, Wuming had no other skills that could be considered as his ultimate skill. Enkidu has been sleeping since he first came to this world. Most of the magic Wuming learned couldn't be used as ultimate skills. After all, the magic stored in the library was either magic books with a limited number of times or written materials that couldn't be learned. The skills Wuming learned, such as Dragon Thunder and Heavenly Fire, were useful against the natives, but they didn't have much effect on Zaisha, a level 100 NPC. My head hurts. Sure enough, I still haven't learned it well, Master. Wuming remembered his master, Ska, who could kill a god with just a magic spear and his own martial arts. Sure enough, I'm still too inexperienced. My bloodline ability is basically harmless. For example, Wuming's Origin Dragon bloodline ability, time travel adaptability, powerful physique, endless magic power, and transformation effect of Calamity Dragon. Suddenly, Wuming felt a message in his mind. Wuming put his hand on his temple. What's wrong, Yair Bade? Master Wuming, some humans who look like adventurers are approaching Zaisha. Understood. Stay put, I'll go check the situation. Master Wuming, don't you need guards? No, to avoid misunderstandings, you can continue to hide near Zaisha. Yes, Master. Wuming disconnected the communication and lay on the bed. When it rains, it pours. I hope those adventurers can retreat on their own. As the portal closed, Wuming appeared on the plain near Khan village. So, those are the adventurers who are approaching? Wuming looked at the adventurers coming toward him. Wuming took out Yggdrasil and threw it into the air. After a while, Funbaba appeared behind Wuming. Those adventurers also seemed to have seen Wuming and Funbaba, and they all stopped for a while. 3 people who seemed to be captains came over. Are you the captains of the adventurers who came to crusade against the vampire? Yes, I'm Parodi from Sirius. These 2 are Maknak from Rainbow and Igvaki from Kraugla. May I ask who you are? A young man with a determined look said, I'm the vampire's summoner. Because of an accident, I lost control. Please go back. This is not something you can intervene in. But, even if you say so, Parodi had a troubled expression on his face. Don't waste your breath on him. Igvalki said. Who knows, maybe he's actually here to steal our credit. He thinks that he can do whatever he wants just because he has a good-looking magical beast. To be honest, Funbaba was not tall, and it looked gentle, but it did not mean that Funbaba would not kill. Funbaba raised its leg, and in an instant, a huge man-eating flower appeared at Igvalki's feet. In an instant, Igvalki was eaten by the man-eating flower before he could even make a sound. Parodi and Moknak put their hands on their weapons with a solemn expression. I'm in a bad mood. Persuading you to leave is for your own good. Do you have to make an example of me? Wu Ming released the aura of a giant dragon. The wind pressure caused by his aura overturned the adventurers in the distance, and Parodi and Moknak in front of him were unconscious. Wu Ming slowly retracted his aura. Ever since Silent Wonder turned into a dragon, he had mastered an invisible pressure similar to draconic aura. This could be considered a blessing in disguise. Looking at the hurried and orderly retreat, Wu Ming turned around and walked toward Satya. Chapter 48. Looking at Satya, who was wearing red armor and holding a strange spear, Wu Ming couldn't help but think of Satya's information. Fortunately, I checked Satya's information, equipment, and skills before. I have to deal with Satya quickly. Satya's armor was legendary level armor, and her weapon was a divine artifact level special weapon, Dropper Spear. Dropper Spear could heal itself by inflicting damage to the opponent in a certain proportion, which could be said to be a miracle in a protracted battle. According to the information, Satya also had a resurrection item. In that case, I have to kill Satya twice. Sigh, I really don't want to experience killing my subordinates again. When Wu Ming was a knight, he once had a subordinate who was infected by a monster. At his subordinate's request, Wu Ming had to kill him. Sama. Hearing that voice, Wu Ming looked at his arm. Enkidu, are you awake? Well, because Wu Ming Sama is upset, I woke up to see if there is any way to help you. I appreciate your kindness, but I don't think you can do anything about it. Wu Ming couldn't find any other way to remove Satya's mind control other than killing her. Wu Ming Sama, maybe I can give it a try. Oh, really, little Enkidu? Wu Ming was so excited that he called out Wu Ming's pet name for Enkidu. Yes, Wu Ming Sama, I was originally a chain connecting heaven and earth. Of course, I have a way to break the chain. If possible, Wu Ming Sama can connect me to Satya, and I should be able to remove the negative effect. But little Enkidu, why didn't I know you have this ability? Wu Ming asked strangely. After all, Wu Ming was also a Uruk native, and he knew about the heaven lock. It's strange. After I came to this world with Wu Ming Sama, I began to change, which is why I fell into a deep sleep. I'm sorry, little Enkidu, there is no way to lift the curse on your body. When Enkidu was cursed by the gods, Wu Ming only took away Enkidu's soul, and his body was indeed dead. Therefore, Enkidu couldn't show his body, and could only accompany Wu Ming in the form of heaven lock. It's all right, Lord Wu Ming. Enki is very happy to be able to be tied to Lord Wu Ming like this. Wu Ming touched Enkidu hidden on his arm and didn't say anything. Little Enkidu, my first battle in this world. Let's go. Thus, Wu Ming Sama. High-level item creation. A white light flashed and a white armor appeared on Wu Ming's body. That was the silver dragon armor that Wu Ming used in Britain. Funbaba. Funbaba changed and a silver-white spear flew in the air. As if it was calculated, Wu Ming stretched out his hand and firmly grabbed the spear. Yggdrasil. The silver-white spear slowly melted like liquid, attached to Wu Ming's left hand, forming a silver-white left-hand armor. Then Wu Ming stretched out his hand, and a white hole appeared on the right side of his body, and the hilt of a sword slowly came out of it. Wu Ming held the hilt with his right hand and pulled it out. The silver-white holy sword appeared in Wu Ming's right hand. Heavenly fire. the white flame attached to the silver holy sword. Then I'll start first, Satya. Wu Ming held the sword with both hands and raised it above his head. Although it was daytime, there was a trace of starlight in the sky, and the starlight began to gather on the sword. This meteor, silver. The white holy sword gathered the light, and the moment the real name was shouted, the light overflowed. A huge silver-white beam of light rose into the sky, and the silver-white beam of light continued to expand, covering a few kilometers in an instant. 1/3 of the nearby forest was destroyed, and Khan village was almost affected. Gradually, the light disappeared, revealing the ground that was more than 10 meters deep as if it was baptized by a nuclear bomb. The guardians in the conference hall who watched with a long-end perspective mirror were surprised. It's comparable to the destructive power of supreme magic. As expected of Wu Ming Sama. Demiurgos pushed his glasses and said with a trembling voice, "That seems to be the attack launched by Wu Ming Sama's weapon. Is it a world-class item owned by Wu Ming Sama?" Cositas opened his mouth. Cositas, who had dozens of weapons, could clearly see that this wasn't Wu Ming's skill, but a weapon. Such a powerful blow, as expected of my lover, Wu Ming Sama. Her Bei did not show her infatuation side, but with a rather calm expression. Satya Sama shouldn't be able to withstand Wu Ming Sama's attack. It should be Wu Ming Sama's victory. Although Sebastian was a level 100 NPC, he still called the guardians Sama. Yuz and Mare, who were on the edge of a nearby cliff, were covered in dust. Phew, that was close, we were almost finished. Wu Ming Sama is really powerful, isn't he, sister? That's right. If Yuz and Mare had not activated their special skills in time, they might have ended up like Satya. Wu Ming looked at X-Silver, Meteor Silver, and scratched his head awkwardly. I accidentally used too much magic power, huh? Ha. What should I say, Lord Wu Ming? Enkidu, who was on Wu Ming's left arm, sighed. I can't help it. Ever since I turned back into a dragon, I haven't used my noble artifact. Who knew that its power would increase so much? This was also the bloodline advantage of the root dragon, the qualitative increase in magic power. The same magic power, but the current one was much purer than before. She should be fine. Satya? Just as Wu Ming was discussing Satya, a burst of laughter was heard. Ha, isn't this Lord Wu Ming? As expected of the supreme Wu Ming, Lord Wu Ming, who killed me instantly. Fortunately, I still have a resurrection item. Lord Wu Ming ha. Sure enough, I've already killed Satya once. What a big mistake. Since I turned into a dragon, the quality of my magic power has greatly improved. Coupled with the bonus of the Tier 9 spell, Heavenly Fire, the power of X-Silver's noble artifact is really amazing. Wu Ming shook his head and looked at Satya with his eyes hidden under the helmet. I'm sorry, Satya, I accidentally killed you. No, Lord Wu Ming, you don't need to apologize, because you just need to let me kill you. Ha. Looking at Satya, who was laughing wildly, Wu Ming couldn't help but think. Is he really mentally ill? If that's the case, Shaon. Yes. The silver chain appeared on Wu Ming's left gauntlet, and the chain seemed to be endless, shooting toward Satya. Such a simple attack, Lord Wu Ming, why did you use it? Satya instantly used the flying ability of her armor to avoid the entanglement of Enkidu. Is that so, Satya? What about this? The sound of chains colliding could be heard as white holes similar to spatial doors appeared in the air around Satya, surrounding her. Greater teleport. Don't even think about it. Wu Ming was already prepared. Wu Ming instantly tore the scroll from Dragonist. What? Greater teleport doesn't work? Is it dimensional lock? Yes, it's dimensional lock that can restrain teleport. Enkidu. In an instant, Enkidu extended from each white space and bound Satya. Damn it. Einherjar. As Satya chanted the spell, a white light flew out of Satya's body. After the white light took shape, it was a figure exactly the same as Satya, but this figure was completely white. Einherjar summoned by this skill only had the physical ability of the original body, and it could not use magic or skills. Einherjar rushed toward Wu Ming, but Satya knew very well that Einherjar was no match for Wu Ming. Struggling to break free from Enkidu, Satya activated magic essence and began to check Wu Ming's magical power. What she saw was a huge amount of magical power gushing out like a bottomless pit. As expected of the supreme being of the great underground tomb of Nasrik. You can be said to be an invincible existence, Lord Wu Ming. On the other side, Wu Ming activated another noble phantasm. Noble phantasm liberation, Yggdrasil. A large number of branches quickly grew from Wu Ming's left hand, entangling Satya's Einherjar. Absorb, Yggdrasil. The Einherjar gradually faded until it completely disappeared. So, what should you do now, Satya? Chapter 49. Ah, Wu Ming-sama, what kind of artifact is this chain of yours? I even used impure impact shield, but I still couldn't break your shackles. Although she said that, Zaisha's expression was very anxious. Enkidu, let's start. Try to get in touch with Satya's mind control. Yes, Master Wu Ming. The silver-white chain wrapped around Satya began to glow, and Satya struggled and screamed in pain. Listening to Satya's screams, Wu Ming couldn't help but clench his fists. Although Wu Ming hadn't been in charge of Nasrik for long, not even a month, Wu Ming was very fond of his subordinates, who were like newborn babies. Since he gained benefits, he had to bear the responsibility. That was what Wu Ming thought when he became the ruler of Nasrik. Now, Wu Ming has regarded the people of Nasrik as his family, friends, and children. Wu Ming called it a trip, and to put it bluntly, he was homeless. Although it was a short time, compared to living in the strange outside world, Nasrik, which was full of monsters, gave Wu Ming a sense of belonging. After all, Wu Ming was not human. After a while, Satya fainted, and the chain stopped glowing. How is it, little Enkidu? Should be okay. Wu Ming heard Enkidu's voice and felt something was wrong, so he quickly asked. What's wrong, little Enkidu? Are you okay? I'm fine, Master Wu Ming. I'm still not used to the changes in Enkidu. Plus, I forced myself to wake up before. I might fall asleep again. Sorry, Master Wu Ming. It's okay, little Enkidu, you don't have to apologize. I'm really lucky to have you by my side. Enkidu didn't say anything else. Sensing the weakening of Enkidu's mana, Wu Ming knew that Enkidu had fallen asleep again. Wu Ming jumped up and hugged the unconscious Satya. He stroked Satya's face and said, Go to sleep, everything will be fine. As if she had heard him, Satya's slightly nervous face gradually relaxed. Nasrik Conference Room. As expected, Sir Wu Ming's victory is beyond doubt. Cositas exhaled a breath of cold air as he spoke. It seems that I don't need to prepare materials for Satya's revival. As expected of Lord Wu Ming. Dimigos adjusted his glasses. Regardless of whether Wu Ming had come into contact with Satya's mind control, he had already captured Satya alive, so there was no need to prepare for her resurrection. Then, let's welcome the master that we will serve forever, guardians, said Yair Bade. Pardon my rudeness, but I won't be going. I have to prepare food for the returning Lord Wu Ming. I remember that Lord Wu Ming strongly requested not to eat potatoes last time. I have to inform the chef. With that, Sebastian bowed and left. Wu Ming landed on the ground with the unconscious Satya in his arms. He looked at Yal and Malay who were walking toward him. I'm sorry, Yal Malay. I didn't hurt you just now, did I? It's okay, it's okay. I didn't expect Lord Wu Ming, who had been keeping a low profile in Nasrik, to be so powerful. Powerful. Gentle. Wu Ming smiled and shook his head. I'm still far from that. You must know that no matter what, there's no end to it. To be honest, Wu Ming didn't expect a noble artifact to be so powerful. After all, Wu Ming didn't use a noble artifact many times. The few times that he did, it was because his opponent also used a noble artifact or because his opponent was unmatched without a noble artifact. Thinking about it carefully, it wasn't strange. Noble artifacts were known as the trump cards of heroic spirits. Putting aside the strength of heroic spirits, just the word trump card showed the importance of a noble artifact. By the way, Wu Ming looked at Yal and asked, "The anti-detection magic is working, right?" "Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Although Lord Wu Ming's attack destroyed most of the magic, I repaired it in time, so there's no problem." Then, as if he thought of something, Wu Ming said to Ma Lei, "Don't make any changes to the traces of the battle here. It can serve as a deterrent." "Lord Wu Ming. Then let's go." "Yes, Lord Wu Ming." X2. Between the thrones, in the audience hall. Yer Bade, Demugos, Cositas, Sebastian, and the others had been waiting for a long time. Wu Ming carried Xiaotaya while the dark elf twins followed behind him. "Lord Wu Ming, congratulations on your victorious return." Looking at the guardians, including the twins, who were kneeling on one knee, Wu Ming said, "Rise, guardians." "Yes, Lord Wu Ming." Yer Bade, check Xiaotaya's status. Yer Bade slid his finger in the air and opened a virtual window. Yer Bade slid his finger. When he saw Xiaotaya's name turn from red to white, he heaved a sigh of relief. "There's no problem, Lord Wu Ming. Xiaotaya's name has turned white. How about this? Bring Xiaotaya to the room on the 9th floor to rest. During this time, arrange for many monsters above level 90 to guard her and set up many magic traps to prevent Xiaotaya from going berserk." Lord Wu Ming, to let the servants step into the residence of the supreme beings. Yer Bade had an inappropriate expression. "It's fine. The other supreme beings won't blame you. Carry out the order." Speaking of which, it was strange. Ever since Wu Ming came to Nasaric, the 9th floor of Nizaric's underground graveyard had been deserted. No, it should be said that this was more befitting of the graveyard's name. In fact, there were quite a lot of people on the 9th floor. There were 41 level 1 android maids, as well as a group of service staff in bars, restaurants, and hot springs. However, these people only moved around in their own areas and never came out. Thus, only the guardians were left to move around freely. In fact, it was also because each floor of Nasaric was too big. Perhaps it was because Wu Ming and Nasaric had temporarily fused. Nasaric was not as big as the information indicated. Instead, it was much bigger than the information indicated. Other than the surface of Nasaric, which did not change much, the 1st to 10th floors of Nasaric had expanded a lot. According to Wu Ming's speculation, the largest floor was even comparable to the size of a city. "I'm a little tired. Let's go back and rest. Sebastian, is the food ready?" "Of course, Lord Wu Ming. It's all ready. I also specially told the chef to reject all potato products." Speaking of potatoes, Wu Ming recalled the fear of being dominated by Gawain in Britain. "Well done, Sebastian. For the supreme beings, I won't hesitate." Following the conversation, Wu Ming and Sebastian stepped into the restaurant. Chapter 50. Wu Ming looked at the ceiling as he lay on the bed and covered himself with a blanket. "Seriously, it's tough being the ruler of Nasaric. Is that why I can't be a king?" Because of Satya's incident, Wu Ming fell into deep thought. "Well, I finally know the difficulties of Maeve, Lia, and Gil." Wu Ming raised his right hand and looked at the ring of Ain's Wurgong on his finger. "Ain's Wurgong, I'm now the king of the devil creatures. To think that I, the holy root dragon, have become the king of the devil creatures. Not bad, he." Wu Ming put down his hand and closed his eyes. "Sleep, sleep, I must fully enjoy this beautiful moment." Just like that, Wu Ming fell asleep under the protection of the devil creatures. The next day, in the audience hall between the thrones. Looking at the empty hall, Wu Ming spoke in boredom. "In that case, although Satya's mind control has been lifted, there's still a trace of a problem?" Wu Ming sat on the throne and leaned sideways against the back of the throne. He supported his face with his right hand and looked as if he had not slept well. "It's called a problem, but it's just that after Satya woke up, she remembered that she fought against the Supreme Honorable and felt ashamed," Yair Bird said. "In that case, give Satya an appropriate punishment." Wu Ming scratched his cheek. As expected of the Supreme Honorable. Our master is a great being who rewards and punishes clearly. Yair Bird knelt on one knee and placed his right hand on his heart. Get up, Yair Bird. Speaking of which, does Satya have any information on the enemy? Even the slightest bit would be good. At this point, Wu Ming's lazy gaze became like a terrifying beast and emitted a dangerous aura. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Because of your special item, Satya still retains her original memory. In the report submitted by Satya, it is very likely that the other party is from Celian theocracy. Yair Bird stood up and crossed his hands on his abdomen. The other party appeared near Khan village where Lord Wu Ming dealt with Sunshine Grimoire, and according to Satya, the other party is a faith magic chanter. In addition, the other party has a world-class item that we don't know about that can even affect the undead who are immune to mind control. The other party is probably a special unit of Celian theocracy, the Dark Grimoire. The Dark Grimoire? It seems to be mentioned in the information extracted from the Sunshine Grimoire's Captain Negan. Wu Ming looked at Yair Bird. 600 years ago, the six gods suddenly appeared, led human beings to establish a country, protected human beings, and left behind treasures. Wu Ming stood up and stretched his body. Maybe the so-called six great gods are actually Yggdrasil's players, and the so-called treasure is actually Yggdrasil's item. If that's the case, then it's not unacceptable that the other party has a world-class item that can even control a level 100 NPC's mind. Wu Ming stood in front of the throne with his hands on his chest and closed his eyes as if he was thinking about something. Well, let Sebastian go and meet with Annabelle. Sebastian will announce to the public that he is my butler. Well, let Sebastian and Annabelle work together to help Golden Princess and Rose Tsungwei. If necessary, they can show their strength without revealing Nazarik's information. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. So that's how it is. Lord Wu Ming wants to control that country? It seems that I have to discuss it with Demugos. Yair Bade thought. Also, let Demugos and Yair go to the southwest of the kingdom. There is a country called Holy Kingdom there. Try to get involved with that country and let Demugos act according to the circumstances. Try not to be too ostentatious. As for the humans you meet, don't hurt those with integrity. Deal with the scum on your own. Yes, Lord Wu Ming, do you have any other orders? Yair Bade asked. Sebastian is in charge of everything in the kingdom, including killing people. You must follow Sebastian's judgment. Demugos is in charge of everything in the Holy Kingdom. Try not to kill people. Yes, Lord Wu Ming, I will pass the message. After Yair Bade left, Wu Ming also began to move. Celian theocracy, I'll meet you. Wu Ming once again showed that kind of excited smile. This time, Wu Ming was going to go to the theocracy alone. Because he was afraid that Yair Bade would object, Wu Ming didn't even say anything. As for the reason for going to the theocracy, first, he must ask for an explanation about Satya's matter. Second, Wu Ming was now very interested in the Celian theocracy. To be on the safe side, Wu Ming also deliberately pulled up the information in his mind to see if there were any world-class items with special abilities. On the Kaz plain, a huge green monster was running constantly. Wu Ming rode on the back of Funbaba. Sigh, I'm sorry to always let you be my means of transportation, Funbaba. Wu, yes, I know, I will let you move more in the future. After crossing the Kaz plain, Wu Ming entered the theocracy's border. After a series of inspections, Wu Ming successfully entered the Celian theocracy. After inquiring about the location of the Celian theocracy's capital from the old man, he rushed there. In a hotel in the Celian theocracy's capital, Wu Ming was still looking through some of the information in his mind. World's will, it is said that as long as you have it, you will always become stronger. Is it true or not? Devastating beauty can forcibly control one's mind. Well, it seems that this should be what controlled Satya. Holy Slayer's lance can completely delete the target character's data. There is no other way except for using world-class items with resurrection effect. This is more dangerous, after all, I don't know if this thing has any effect on me. Just when Wu Ming was still thinking, a large number of people with a trace of hostility appeared in Wu Ming's perception range. Did they find me so soon? As expected of the Xi Lian theocracy with world-class items. In fact, Wu Ming didn't hide his aura at all. Even ordinary people will find that Wu Ming has a sense of oppression, let alone the elites who can stay in the capital. Since they are already here, I have to go out and meet them. Wu Ming got up and walked downstairs slowly. On the empty street where the crowd has been evacuated, Wu Ming put on the knight's armor that he created with high-grade item creation, and looked at the other party's leader hidden under the helmet. It was a young man with a gun, who seemed to be a teenager. "So, what can I do for you?" Wu Ming asked. "Excuse me, are you Wu Ming, Sama, Root Dragon King?" Chapter 51. Hearing the other party's question, Wu Ming did not answer but fell into deep thought. What's going on? Not only did Irbiruai know that Wu Ming was looking for someone, but he also suspected that I'm Wu Ming. The people in the theocracy also know, but I just arrived in this world not long ago. Wu Ming looked at the young man who asked the question in front of him. What about you? For you? Wu Ming declined the other party's question implicitly. I'm the lead disciple of Dark Scripture in Xi Lian theocracy. Code name is Dark Scripture, Wu Ming, Sama. Seeing the other party bowed politely, Wu Ming spoke again. So, Dark Boy, you know about the vampire near Yalantar, right? Yes, Wu Ming, Sama, we found it when we passed by there, and we lost 3 people because of it. Very well, that's my subordinate. Don't you want to explain? Dark Scripture's lead disciple clearly perceived that the other party was constantly exuding a dragon-like pressure to the surroundings. I'm sorry, Wu Ming, Sama, because you disappeared for too long, so we don't know much about your new subordinate, please forgive us. New subordinate? Do I have any old subordinates? Wu Ming's expression did not change at all, but his heart was already in a mess. Then take my blow. As he spoke, Wu Ming took out Exsilver, Meteor Silver, from Dragonist, Dragon's Nest, and raised it above his head with one hand. In an instant, a large amount of starlight gathered from the endless blue sky into the sword. Wu Ming-sama, please calm down. The lead disciple shouted nervously at Wu Ming, and the young man's subordinates also picked up their weapons, although they didn't have much effect. At the same time, they also sent a message to the higher-ups of Xi Lian theocracy. Take this sword that's comparable to supreme magic, and I will leave. With that, the light on the holy sword stopped gathering. Meteor. Exsilver, Meteor Silver. The dazzling diamond-like starlight instantly drowned out the pitch-black scripture and also drowned out the tall building in the center of the capital that Wu Ming was aiming at, the main church. A large number of citizens of the Xi Lian cult's capital were temporarily blinded by the bright starlight. A moment later, after the white light, the pitch-black cannon and the large number of theocracy personnel in front of Wu Ming had disappeared. However, Wu Ming did not feel the sacred sword sweeping past them. He assumed that the sacred sword had used a legendary spell. Looking at the dilapidated Syrian church, Wu Ming said calmly, "Can you defend against one of my attacks? Although I didn't use much strength." With that, Wu Ming turned around and prepared to leave the capital of the Xi Lian cult. Due to Wu Ming's deliberate control, other than the street and the church in front of Wu Ming being destroyed, the residential buildings were not damaged at all. As expected, due to the release of my dragon body in advance, the precision of my magic power control has increased by quite a bit. Wu Ming took out Yggdrasil and aimed it at the sky. A green energy began to spread throughout the entire capital of the Xi Lian cult. No matter what, it's because of me that you have all been indirectly blinded. I'm really sorry. A large amount of life force was injected into the bodies of all the citizens in the capital. This should be enough. It's time to go. At that moment, Wu Ming felt that something had locked onto him. Wu Ming turned around and saw a huge light spear flying out from the destroyed church. Wu Ming frowned. He could feel the threat of the light spear, but it was not serious. A world-class tool? A large number of thick trees surged up from the ground and formed a wooden wall. The light spear pierced through the wooden wall layer by layer without any decrease in strength. The light spear completely pierced through the wooden wall and hit Wu Ming directly. The light spear turned into a light film, enveloping Wu Ming, and Wu Ming's body began to disappear. Just when the Xi Lian cult's higher-ups hiding in the ruins of the church relaxed, the light film shattered. The shattered light turned into a little golden light and dissipated into the air. This should be the Holy Slayer's lance. Wu Ming looked at his hand that was not wearing a single ring and smiled. Sure enough, even without a world-class tool, a mere game tool can't destroy me as the root dragon. After all, the adult root dragon's roots and time were its home. How could a mere tool transformed from a game into reality affect Wu Ming, even if Wu Ming was an underage root dragon? Wu Ming looked at the Xi Lian cult's higher-ups as if he could see through the wall. So, here comes the revenge. Wu Ming raised Yggdrasil and wanted to release its real name. At that moment, Wu Ming seemed to hear something and put away Yggdrasil. You're lucky. After saying that, Wu Ming left the capital of Xi Lian cult without looking back, leaving behind a group of confused residents who felt as if they were in a dream and a group of terrified higher-ups. After Wu Ming left the capital of Xi Lian cult, he immediately moved to the northwest. After tearing the flight scroll, Wu Ming flew into the sky and flew toward the Ristage kingdom. Soon Wu Ming arrived at the sky above the kingdom, but Wu Ming did not stop and continued to move toward the northwest of the kingdom. That was the most northwest country on the continent, known as the Grand Kingdom. It was a country built by the demi-humans, located in the north of the Ristage kingdom, northwest of the continent. It had a long history and strong national power. It was said that there were 5 or 7 dragons as counselors. The reason Wu Ming returned here was because someone had sent a message to Wu Ming through message magic. Come to the Grand Kingdom, partner. I will tell you everything you have doubts about. Wu Ming sensed the message and map left behind by the other party and arrived at a cave. After entering the cave, Wu Ming found a teleportation magic circle in the deepest part of the cave. Wu Ming activated the magic circle. After a flash of white light, Wu Ming found himself in a large palace, as if he had been in the palace of Babylon. And on a huge platform in front of Wu Ming, a huge white dragon was lying on it. Are you the one who called me? The dragon raised its head and looked at Wu Ming. Sure enough, you don't know me at this time, partner. Judging by your tone, we are very close, Wu Ming asked. Of course, we are partners who have gone through life and death together. No, master. This surprised Wu Ming. Then, let me guess, is it because of the time travel magic? As expected of you, partner. According to the you I know, you came from 700 years later. 700 years later? Wu Ming was puzzled. As far as I know, the 6 great gods from 600 years ago, the 8 desires king from 500 years ago, the demon god from 200 years ago, and the 13 heroes should all be transmigrators. The dragon said to Wu Ming. Yes, that's right. You told me that back then. And there were other transmigrators 400 years ago, 300 years ago, and 100 years ago, but their strength and character were inferior, and they were all destroyed by us. Wu Ming looked at the dragon. This is really interesting. What about me? Did I leave? To be precise, you left 100 years ago. Except for the era of the 6 great gods, the 8 desires king, and the 13 heroes when you woke up, the rest of the time you were asleep because you were about to leave your childhood. Then I'm going to be an adult. Wu Ming was a little excited. After all, the root dragon's childhood was too long ago. The dragon smiled. No, you've entered your youth. That's what you said yourself. For a moment, Wu Ming felt like the world was joking. Let's not talk about this first. Why did you stop me from destroying the silent theocracy? And why did you call me here today? To tell me my future? Unfortunately, you guessed wrong. Neither. There was a smug smile on the dragon's face. It was an expression of, you finally have something you can't guess. I'm going to return the uninscribed book to you today. Chapter 52. Uninscribed Incantation Book? Wu Ming was puzzled. Yes, this is what you entrusted me to give to you now when I first met you, partner. The dragon opened its mouth, and a glowing sphere flew out of the dragon's mouth. It was a book, a slightly quaint and mysterious book with black and red decorations. Wu Ming looked at the book with some disgust. Will it have your bad breath? The dragon instantly felt powerless. Hurry up and take it and then hurry up. Really, I'm going to sleep. Wu Ming held the book and watched as the giant dragon lowered its head. It was as if it had fallen asleep and did not make a sound. What a strange temper. No wonder it sleeps alone in this broken place. When Silent Wonder saw the word V appear above the dragon's head, he stood on the teleportation array and left the area. After a while, the dragon raised its head and looked at the teleportation circle where Wu Ming left. What a mysterious master. After that, it fell asleep again. Walking out of the cave, Wu Ming looked at the two of them reading the book in their hands, and he didn't know what they were thinking. By the way, I haven't asked the dragon's name yet. Forget it, let's talk about it later. Anyway, I will definitely meet it again. Portal. Wu Ming directly opened the portal connecting to Nasarick and walked in. The portal's range must be a place he has been to, or a place he has seen, or an image in his mind, otherwise, it couldn't be used. But in a sense, the portal was also a unique skill. After all, as long as there was an image of that place in his mind, he could teleport at will, which could be regarded as a bug-like skill. Back to the 10th floor of Nasarick. Between the throne, in the audience hall. Walking out of the portal, Wu Ming sat on the throne, opened the uninscribed incantation book given by the dragon, and began to read the book. This book would turn to a specific page according to the user's thoughts. That was to say, the user didn't need to turn the pages by himself. Shortly after Wu Ming read it, the door of the audience hall opened. As the door opened, a large number of Nasarick personnel poured into the audience hall. This gave Wu Ming a fright. Lord Wu Ming! Lord Wu Ming, where have you been? Lord Wu Ming, we were very worried about you. Looking at the worried expressions of the guardians, Wu Ming sighed. I'm sorry for going out without telling you. It's my fault for making you worry. Wu Ming's apology made the guardians and the magical creatures they brought in tremble. They quickly knelt on one knee and lowered their heads. How could that be? Lord Wu Ming, we spoke rudely to you, but you didn't punish us. Instead, you apologized to us. This is the fault of us guardians. Please punish us, Lord Wu Ming, Yair Bade said. Please punish us, Lord Wu Ming, the other guardians and monsters said in unison. Wu Ming smiled helplessly. These guys were good at everything, but they were too loyal. They couldn't tolerate any disrespect to him. Then our previous mistakes will cancel each other out. Looking at Yair Bade, who seemed to want to object, Wu Ming said again, It's settled, no objections. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. So. Wu Ming picked up the uninscribed book in his hand and ordered everyone in front of him, Guardians, gather in the conference room, the rest of you are free to do whatever you want. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. A moment later, in the conference room, Wu Ming sat on the office chair, supporting his head with his right hand on the large desk. Sebastian. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Sebastian bent over and put his hand on his heart. How is the kingdom situation? Master Wu Ming, the thing that Golden Princess wanted to ask you to do is to eradicate Hachiko, an underground organization that integrates smuggling, drugs, slave trading, assassinations, bodyguards, and other activities. It is said that they have infiltrated the kingdom. After seeing the power of Nasarick, Golden Princess and Rose Tsungwei entrusted me and Annabelle to eliminate Hachiko. They offered a high price, and with your permission, I helped them eliminate Hachiko. Sebastian looked at Wu Ming and said, Actually, Lord Wu Ming, there is one thing I didn't ask for your permission. It's okay, Sebastian, you can say it now. Wu Ming crossed his hands and put them on his chin. I saved a girl during the crusade against Hachiko, and I want to take her back to Nasarick. Oh, did she agree? Wu Ming asked. Yes, Lord Wu Ming, she has no home. Although she still has a younger sister, she doesn't want to remember the past because of psychological reasons. She also asked you to let Chialiai live in Nasarick. I agree, Sebastian, but how about letting her be a maidservant? It's all up to Lord Wuming, Sebastian said. That's it. Sebastian, you will convey the message to Chialiai, and at the same time, inform all Nasaric. I now appoint Chialiai as Sebastian's personal maidservant, and at the same time, revoke your position as the captain of the Pleiades star cluster and let Li Alpha be the acting captain. Yes, Lord Wuming, thank you for your generosity, Lord Wuming. Sebastian bowed deeply. Also, I'll arrange something for you later. That's all for now. Demigos, how are you doing in the Holy Kingdom? Yes, Lord Wuming. I set up a farm at the border of the Holy Kingdom. I caught a large number of animals to test the scroll, and the result was very successful. Demigos knelt on one knee and said to Wuming, Animals? Well, Demigos, your demons should be able to see the good and evil in people's hearts. Let go of the good and keep the evil, understand? Wuming thought for a moment and realized that Demigos was talking about animals. After all, Wuming never heard of a large number of demonic beasts near the Holy Kingdom. There were only many types of demi-humans. Of course, Lord Wuming, because you like humans and good people, I deliberately avoided these people when I caught them. Demigos pushed his glasses. Well done, Demigos, get up. As a reward, I will give you this. At the moment when Demigos got up, Wuming threw the ring of Ans Ergong to Demigos. This is the ring of Ans Ergong. Lord Wuming, this is a supreme treasure that only the Supreme One can wear. How can I? Well, Demigos, accept it. This is your reward, understand? Lord Wuming, I will go through fire and water for Nasaric in the future. Well, y'all, I heard that you found a lizardman village on the way back? Yes. Lord Wuming. Y'all raised his hand and said, Then, Cocytus. Yes, Lord. Cocytus exhaled cold air. Although the lizard men are useless to Nasaric, I want to see your ability, Cocytus. You will go and subdue the lizard men. Yes. Lord Wuming, I will complete your task. But remember, you and your men don't fight in the first battle. I will send some soldiers to follow you. Only these soldiers can be used in the first battle. Remember? Yes, Lord Wuming. Yes. Lord Wuming. Well, you go and cancel Nazaric's external camouflage. I will provide you with a magic array. You can use the magic on this magic array to camouflage Nasaric. After that, Wuming opened the uninscribed book. As Wuming thought, the book turned automatically and stopped at a certain page. High-level item creation. A blueprint with a high-level camouflage magic array appeared in front of Wuming. I'll leave it to you, Mayor. Yes. Yes, I will not let Lord Wuming down. Satya. Yes. Seeing Satya's sad face, Wuming said, I've decided to punish you. Chapter 53. Hearing the punishment, Satya's face lit up. As for the specifics, we'll talk about it later. This confused Satya. Yair Abed. Wuming turned to look at Yair Abed. Yes, Lord Wuming. Wuming took out another ring of Anziwergong and handed it to Yair Abed. Lord Wuming. Although he was happy that Wuming gave him the precious ring of Anziwergong, Yair Abed was puzzled. After all, he did not make any contributions. I've decided to leave Nasaric temporarily and head to the other world. So, I've decided to give you this ring to manage Nasaric while I'm away. How can that be, Lord Wuming? You should let my protectors lead the way to the other world, Yair Abed shouted. That's right, Lord Wuming. It's too dangerous for you to go personally, Demigos added. Seeing the worried expressions of the protectors, Wuming smiled. There's no helping it. I'm the only one who can traverse worlds with the staff of Anziwergong. At most, I can bring 1 or 2 people. So, I can only be the vanguard. Of course, that was a lie. The staff of Anziwergong only had the ability to bring people. Traversing worlds was Wuming's ability as the origin dragon. In that case, Lord Wuming should bring me along. As the person with the highest defense in Nasaric, I can definitely protect Lord Wuming, Yair Abed said. No, I've already confirmed the number of people. It's Satya and Sebastian. What? Satya and Sebastian were stunned. Then, they immediately knelt before Wu Ming. Your subordinates will do our best to live up to Lord Wu Ming's expectations and accept this punishment. Both Zaisha and Sebastian treated this as a punishment. Rise, everyone. It's not without reason that I brought Satya and Sebastian along. The reason for bringing Satya along was firstly that Satya's ability was outstanding among the Guardians. She could be said to be one of the best. Secondly, it was to punish her. On the other hand, Sebastian's fighting ability is unparalleled, and his identity as a butler can easily conceal us. After all, I don't really need too much defense. As a root dragon, my defense has always been very high. Although saying this would make Yair-Bade sad, Wu Ming really didn't want to bring Yair-Bade along. Now that you're here, my trip has become a trip to hell. Yair-Bade and Demugos did not speak. Seeing that the two think tanks did not speak, the other Guardians did not have any intention of speaking either. It's decided then. Also, I'll inform Pandora Yakut to leave the treasury. No one can invade that place. I'll let her play my role while I'm not in Nasrik. If there's anything, Yerbed and Demugos can discuss it with Pandora. That's it. The meeting is over. Zaisha and Sebastian will stay behind. The rest of you can leave. Yes, Lord Wu Ming, everyone shouted in unison. Before Yerbed, who was the last to leave, left, Wu Ming said, I hope you can use this ring well. I hope you can make good use of this ring. When I return, I will see a more perfect Nasrik. Just like that, Yerbed left with an excited expression. Wu Ming exhaled and looked at Zaisha. In that case, Zaisha, you have to be prepared to stay in the staff of Ains Ergong for a long time. Go and prepare your bed. Huh? A moment later, Zaisha left the meeting room with an indescribable expression. Sebastian, you might not be able to see Kialiai for a long time. Forgive me for breaking up your reunion with Kialiai, Wu Ming said apologetically. How could that be? Master Wu Ming, to be able to serve by your side, let alone a punishment in my opinion, this is the best reward for me, Sebastian Dean, Sebastian said solemnly. Well, I'll give you some money. Go shopping with Kialiai and buy something. Let her enjoy the days with you first. This is also my greeting to the new member of Nasrik. With that said, Wu Ming took out a bag of gold coins and put it in front of Sebastian. Thank you very much, Lord Wu Ming. Sebastian put away the money bag and bowed to Wu Ming. Go, I'll inform you when it's time to leave. It should be in 5 days. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Click. With the sound of the door closing, Wu Ming was the only one left in the meeting room. Well, it's time to meet Pandora. Teleport. Wu Ming activated the ability of Anziergong's ring and arrived in front of the treasure vault. Walking into the treasure vault, Wu Ming came to a room similar to a luxurious living room. On the sofa in this room, a skeleton wearing a gorgeous blue-black mage robe was sitting on it. It was a dead mage. Who will it be this time? Pandora Yakut's race was a double phantom, which was the same race as Annabelle. However, Annabelle's race was only level 1, which meant that she could only transform into one appearance, which was Annabelle's current appearance. Pandora Yakon's race ability was level 41, which meant she could transform into 41 appearances. Because of Pandora's special skill, the appearance Pandora transformed into could have 80% of the original's ability. Pandora's current appearance was one of Anziergong's 41 players, and Pandora's 41 targets were Anziergong's 41 players. If she wanted to transform into another person, she had to give up one of the 41 players she had cloned. However, Wu Ming asked for a spell to make up for the double phantom transformation ability in the uninscribed spell book. Using a special spell to record the character's information that had been cloned and save it on a special paper, so that the character's transformation ability could be transferred from one's own skill to a special container, and then continue to copy other characters' information to transform into that person's appearance. Wu Ming, on the other hand, had already prepared the special paper. Oh, Lord Wu Ming, welcome. The appearance of the dead great magician in front of him gradually changed, turning into a strange humanoid with completely white skin, wearing a German military uniform and a military cap. He had no facial features. In the position of the facial features, there were some holes as the representation of the facial features. Pandora, I have something to tell you. After briefly explaining Wu Ming's idea and the special paper Wu Ming took out, Pandora instantly understood. Understood? Lord Wu Ming, leave it to me, I will turn you into a hero. Don't worry. Looking at Pandora, who was performing a German military salute, Wu Ming was a little helpless. Don't act like you're a real hero. Try not to interact with others. It's best if you're unpredictable. I'll pass on the memories and conversations of acquaintances to you. Do your best. I know you can do it. In Nasaric, your wisdom is no less than Demyugo's. Understood. Lord Wu Ming. Looking at Pandora, who was making a strange sound and performing a military salute, Wu Ming couldn't help but think, am I doing the right thing? Chapter 54. After telling Pandora everything, Wu Ming left the treasury. Back in the conference room, Wu Ming decided to read the uninscribed book more. After all, it will automatically record the magic of the world. After reading the book in the conference room for a few days, Wu Ming closed the book and stretched. I'm so tired. Although I don't have to eat, I still have to sleep. With that said, Wu Ming used the ring of Ain's Wugong to go to his bedroom. Lying on the bed, Wu Ming recalled everything he did in this world. I'll tell them the truth. I'm not the Supreme Lord they used to be loyal to. After all, Wu Ming also indirectly deceived the Guardians. Even if the Guardians didn't care, Wu Ming still felt uncomfortable. After all, I'm the root dragon. How can I do such a thing? It's a disgrace to my bloodline. After thinking about it, Wu Ming shook his head again. Of course not. If I tell them the truth, with their sense of justice, they might take revenge on the Supreme Lord who abandoned them. Well, I still have to think about it carefully. After a while, Wu Ming's door was knocked. Come in. Sorry to disturb you, Wu Ming-sama. The succubus in a white dress walked into Wu Ming's bedroom. Yeah, Erbel, what are you doing here? In short, Wu Ming still couldn't deal with this crazy woman. It's like this, Wu Ming-sama. Because of your actions in this world, the Guardians and I have specially provided you with some items that may be useful. Erbel stretched out her hand, and a dark purple ripple appeared in the air. That ripple can be understood as a backpack, which was the storage space for items in the game. Erbel took out a backpack from it. The moment she took it out, Wu Ming recognized it. It was an infinite backpack. Wu Ming took it and checked the items in the bag. Really? I've already taken some useful items from Nazaric's treasure vault. Let's do this. Wu Ming took out some items that he didn't have or didn't have the same effect as Erbel. He opened a golden hole in the air and put those items inside. As for the remaining items in the infinite backpack, Wu Ming threw them back to Erbel. That golden ripple was an extension of Wu Ming's space noble artifact, Dragonist, Dragon's Nest. Previously, Wu Ming could access items from Dragonist in an instant, but it wasn't suitable for storing or retrieving a large number of items. Therefore, Wu Ming learned the Guardian's skill of opening backpack and developed this skill. I'll take some items that don't have the same effect as me. You can divide the rest among the Guardians or the anti-theft treasure vault. Anyway, I won't touch it again. Wu Ming waved his hand and said somewhat willfully. Erbel was taken aback at first, then she showed a smile. Well then, I'll take my leave first, Wu Ming-sama. When Erbel was about to leave, Wu Ming stopped Erbel. Wait a minute, Erbel. I have a question. Wu Ming said awkwardly. What's the matter, Wu Ming-sama? Is there a problem that I, as your subordinate, can solve? Erbel looked at Wu Ming. If, and I'm saying if, I'm not the Supreme Venerable you served before, but just a Supreme Venerable who came in after the other Supreme Venerables left, what do you think? Wu Ming asked a little guiltily. Faced with this question, Wu Ming thought Erbel would say something like, that's impossible. What does it matter, Wu Ming-sama? Huh. Looking at Belle's smiling face, Wu Ming was a little overwhelmed. According to Belle's words, she already knew, whether you are the supreme venerable we served before or not, it doesn't matter. In the end, you were the one who accompanied us into the other world. You were the one who accompanied us and protected us. When everyone was afraid of coming to the other world, you were the one who guided us in the front. Belle walked in front of Wu Ming and touched Wu Ming's face. You shouldn't think about this problem. You just need to move forward, because we will only choose to follow you forever. There was a moment of silence in the bedroom. Do the other guardians know? Wu Ming asked. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Demigos and I were the first to guess. The other guardians were also told by Demigos and I during the guardians' meeting. They all said that whether Lord Wu Ming is the supreme venerable or not, the one who is accompanying us now is that Lord. Only by doing our best for that Lord can we repay that Lord's kindness towards us. That's what they said. Does that so? Let's not talk about how you and Demigos came to this conclusion, but I hope you don't resent the other supreme venerables. After all, they will never have the chance to return to Nasaric. Yes. I promise you, my beloved Lord Wu Ming. Then, can you explain why you took off your clothes? Belle. Wu Ming looked at Belle, who was taking off his clothes, and shouted hysterically. Of course, I'm taking advantage of the atmosphere to take down Lord Wu Ming. How can I let go of such a good atmosphere? Belle returned to his infatuated expression. Really, you've ruined such a rare atmosphere. Get out of my way. Wu Ming opened his palm, and silver chains bound Belle. What is this? Damn it, don't disturb me and Lord Wu Ming's happiness. Wu Ming smiled as he looked at Belle, who was struggling on the ground but was unable to break free. No matter what, it's still a noble artifact. Just stay here obediently. Once the magic power of this sky lock is exhausted, it will automatically disappear. That's it, goodbye. Wait. Lord Wu Ming. After that, Wu Ming used the ring of Anziwergong to teleport out of the bedroom, leaving only Belle, who was crying. On the 9th floor corridor, Wu Ming walked and muttered to himself. Seriously, to think that I was so vexed. In the end, all the guardians know about it. As he walked, Wu Ming found himself in the corridor of the conference room. Demigos? Wu Ming saw Demigos standing in front of the conference room, looking at who he was talking to. Wu Ming speculated that Demigos was using message magic to communicate. And Demigos seemed to be too focused. He didn't notice Wu Ming's arrival for the time being. Until Wu Ming stood behind Demigos. Lord Wu Ming, I'm so sorry, I didn't notice your arrival. Wu Ming said as he looked at Demigos, who was kneeling on one knee. It's okay, Demigos, I don't blame you, including the conversation between you and Cositas just now. I'm so sorry, Lord Wu Ming, your intention was to let Cositas understand by himself. I really shouldn't have said that. Demigos lowered his head even more. It's okay, Demigos, I said I won't blame you. Come in with me. Wu Ming said as he opened the door of the conference room. After Wu Ming went in, Demigos followed. Chapter 55. Wu Ming sat on the office chair and looked at Demigos standing in front of the desk. I know, Demigos, you can understand my thoughts, and I am very satisfied with your way of helping your companions, so you don't have to blame yourself. Thank you for your magnanimity, Wu Ming-sama. Demigos bowed. So, how is Cositas's progress? Wu Ming asked. Cositas has just finished his first attack, and there is no doubt that he was defeated. Well, I think so too. After all, the soldiers I gave to Cositas were all mindless soldiers that were automatically produced by Nasaric. If they could win, I would be surprised by the lizardman's strength. Wu Ming continued. Demigos, tell Cositas that I want to watch the battle between him and the lizardman. He is allowed to fight, but only one person can fight. Yes, Master Wu Ming-sama. Demigos began to use message to contact Cositas. When he was free, Wu Ming stretched out his hand and took out the staff of Anziwergong from the golden ripple. Remote perspective mirror. It was a special intelligence magic that could see the scene in the distance, and it could penetrate some anti-intelligence magic. Master Wuming. Sama, I have already informed Cositas. Well, sit down and watch together. Soon, Cositas won. After all, those lizard men were not even level 50. How could they win against Cositas, a level 100 warrior? I'm going to the scene to see. Do you want to come, Demiugos? It's my pleasure, Master Wuming, Sama. Portal. The black and red ripple door opened, and Wuming and Demiugos walked in. Wuming came to Cositas' side and looked at the few lizardmen's bodies on the scene. Wuming praised. It's a wise choice. After all, when they knew that the other party wanted to subdue their race, they didn't need to send out all of their combatants because if all of them died, it would be a disaster for their race. Sir Wuming. When Cositas saw that it was Wuming, he knelt down on one knee. Well done, Cositas. Thank you for your praise, Lord Wuming. Since we've conquered the lizard men, it's time for us to return. After saying that, Wuming wanted to leave. Lord Wuming, I have a request. Wuming looked in astonishment at Cositas, who was kneeling on one knee and bowing his head. Say it. If it's not a big problem, I'll agree to it. Thank you, Lord Wuming. I would like to request that you revive the lizardmen. Oh, may I know why? Because they are all warriors with some strength, I think they can serve Nassarik. Don't you think this reason is far-fetched, Cositas? After saying that, Wuming didn't look at Cositas, who had his head bowed, but looked at Demiugos who was beside him. Wuming's meaning was very simple. Demiugos asked Cositas to ask for help from Wuming. Demiugos immediately understood and shook his head lightly. Wuming understood and reached his hand into the golden ripples. He took out a short staff with an emerald head and an ivory body and threw it to Cositas. This resurrection staff is for you, Cositas. Although it can be used a limited number of times, reviving these lizard men shouldn't be a problem. Thank you, Lord Wuming. Then, with Cositas' grateful voice, Wuming returned to Nassarik. Demiugos didn't follow him back. He stayed behind to help Cositas use the resurrection staff. As a warrior, Cositas couldn't use any staff-type items. He sat on the office chair and looked up at the ceiling. So, the things in Nassarik are almost done. Wu Ming heard the magic bell, and he put his hand on his ear. What's the matter? Lord Wuming, 2 humans broke into Nazarik's spirit temple. Nazarik's spirit temple. Because Marley had set up an illusion magic circle, no one should be able to break into Nassarik. But, I'm right, little Kaji. I told you it was here, but you didn't believe me. The speaker was a woman wearing a black cloak with short blonde hair and a smile on her face. I'm warning you again, don't call me that. It's normal for this place to be strange. After all, such a large tomb is wrapped in an unknown illusion barrier. If you hadn't stepped into the hero domain, even if you had seen this place before, you wouldn't remember the location of this place. The other was a middle-aged man with skin as pale as a corpse's. He wore a dark red mage robe and held a magic staff and a dark gray pearl. He didn't have a single strand of hair on his head, whether it was a beard, eyebrows, or hair, he didn't have any. Understood. Then, is our Lord Kadjit worthy of knowing what happened to the cult nation? I don't know if the theocracy provoked those dragon kings. Not only the capital's main church was destroyed, but even the 6-color holy scriptures suffered heavy casualties. I hope they're all dead, so they won't chase me anymore. Okay, let's go, Clementine. The orb of death told me that there is a huge amount of death energy under this tomb. As long as I can get that energy, I can complete my ritual. After that, the man named Kaji began to move toward the entrance of the spirit temple. A young man's voice came from the entrance of the spirit temple. Both Kaji and Clementine's faces changed. Clementine even took out her weapons, 2 short thorns. After all, that place was mysterious, and it was always right to be careful. Wuming slowly came out of the shadow and looked at Kaji and Clementine. You 2 can come in because I opened a hole in the barrier. After all, there are people who want to come in all day long, so it's better to invite them in early. Don't you think so, Kaji, Clementine? Wu Ming crossed his arms and looked at the two with a happy face. Hey, is it because of the conversation just now, Clementine? Get ready to retreat. Kaji's face became ugly. I will do it even if you don't say it. This man is too scary. He has been exuding a terrifying aura. Clementine whispered. I advise the two of you not to move around. If you're not careful, your head will fall off. With that, a few insect shadows appeared beside Kaji and Clementine. They were level 85 monsters called 8-limb assassin bugs. They were responsible for Wu Ming's safety in Nasrik. At this moment, the front blades of these 8-limb assassin bugs were placed on Kaji and Clementine's necks without any blind spots. What? When? Hey! Then, Wu Ming said to the side. Shadow demon, capture them. With that, Wu Ming's shadow flashed, and a shadow rushed toward Kaji and Clement. In an instant, the shadow covered the two. Wu Ming didn't even look and left. Anyway, Demugos would take care of it. It's about time to leave Nasrik and go to the other world. I'll leave tomorrow morning. With this thought, Wu Ming left the surface of the tomb in Nasrik. Then, Demugos appeared where Wu Ming was standing before. Demugos pushed up his glasses. Send them to the House of Reality in the 5th level, Ice Prison. Let Nihilus take good care of them. With that he left like Wu Ming. A moment later, the 8-limb assassin bugs and the shadow demon also disappeared. Only the empty spirit hall was left on the surface. Chapter 56. Wu Ming gave his final instructions and left with Satya and Sebastian the next day. Under the effect of the staff of Anzirgong, Satya and Sebastian were sent into the space of the staff of Anzirgong by Wu Ming and fell into a deep slumber. After transforming into his dragon form, Wu Ming entered the space-time tunnel. Wu Ming kept flying in the space-time tunnel. Looking at the light spots in the tunnel, Wu Ming could not help but recall his previous transmigrations. When he transmigrated to the country of Shadow, Wu Ming was not familiar with the structure of the space-time tunnel and was sucked in. After that, Britain was summoned by Merlin. It could be said that Wu Ming had tricked himself. After that, he transmigrated again because of Morgan Le Fay's curse, causing Wu Ming to leave that era and enter the space-time tunnel. Entering ancient Babylon was caused by the crazy Wu Ming wantonly destroying the space-time tunnel, which was caused by external factors. The alternate world where Nasrik was located was brought in by Wu Ming's curiosity. Therefore, strictly speaking, Wu Ming could be considered to have transmigrated on his own initiative and was not as passive as before. Just as Wu Ming was thinking, a light spot flickered not far ahead. As if they had a telepathic connection, Wu Ming subconsciously nodded. The space-time door opened. Wu Ming tilted his head and thought for a while before plunging in. Then the space-time door closed. Wu Ming felt as if he had returned to his mother's embrace. His entire body was filled with warmth. Wu Ming had the thought of falling asleep again. However, this thought was not serious. After resisting his sleepiness, Wu Ming opened his eyes. At this moment, Wu Ming was in his human form in an indescribable substance. It was like water, gas, and fog. In short, these substances gave Wu Ming a chaotic feeling. However, it made Wu Ming feel very comfortable. Is this the root? Wu Ming had guessed correctly. This was the root of the M-shaped moon world. The shining light spot from before was just a resonance between the M-shaped moon world and Wu Ming. Because of this resonance, Wu Ming opened the space-time door subconsciously. How do I get out? After all, even if the root was Wu Ming's home, this home was too big. Moreover, Wu Ming had never been to this home before. He left this home after he was born. Do I have to stay here until I can enter and leave the root on my own? This feels good. The root is home is the root's bloodline. Just as Wu Ming was thinking, he seemed to have received some news. It was as if someone was talking to him. Wu Ming opened his eyes wide in surprise. Are you for real? I don't mind. If I were to sleep here, I would have nothing to do. With that, Wu Ming transformed into his dragon form and fell asleep. The dream had begun. An ordinary village, a group of ordinary farmers, a group of ordinary playmates, and an ordinary war. Wu Ming seemed to have turned into a baby and was born in this village called Dong Remy. As if he was watching a movie, Wu Ming realized that time was passing by quickly. In the blink of an eye, Wu Ming was already 16 years old. However, the memories of these 16 years were still intact in Wu Ming's mind. Just now, what was that? 16 years of memories. That's unbelievable. Wu Ming now felt like he was watching a movie. He could only watch what he was doing and couldn't interfere with it. However, this body was indeed his. No matter what this body said or did, it was Wu Ming himself. Is this the process of falsifying an identity? The restraining force acted too fast. I told you to wait. That's right, in the root, Wu Ming received the restraining force's greeting. Because Wu Ming signed a contract when he was born, but because he was immediately sent away from the Type Moon world, Wu Ming did not leave any traces in the Type Moon world. Although Wu Ming left his traces in the ancient Celtic, ancient British, and ancient Babylonian worlds, it was not because of the two restraining forces in the Type Moon world, but because Wu Ming joined it himself. Therefore, the planet's consciousness, Gaia, and the human consciousness, Aleya, created a new identity for Wu Ming to achieve his ultimate goal, heroic spirit. In this way, Wu Ming's main body was sleeping in the vortex of the root, absorbing the power of the root. Wu Ming's intention was to enter the heroic spirit palace prepared for Wu Ming by the restraining force to form a heroic spirit. However, Wu Ming had the right to leave the heroic spirit palace. After all, when they signed the contract, they signed an equal contract, so Wu Ming did not have to worry about being trapped in the heroic spirit palace. Besides, the heroic spirit palace could not trap the root dragon. Of course, it was an adult. The scene changed. The country Wu Ming was in was troubled by war for a long time. A girl who had a good relationship with Wu Ming came to chat with Wu Ming. "Cedric, you really are here." Looking at his blonde childhood sweetheart, Wu Ming said. Wu Ming put his hands behind his head, lying on a piece of hay, and said uninterestedly, "Ah, what's wrong, Jehan? Why don't you pray for the Lord's arrival and listen to the voice of the Lord? Why are you looking for a lazy false believer like me?" That's right. In this village, Wu Ming was arranged to be a believer of the Lord because of the persecution of the war. Well, don't say that, sir. I have something to tell you. Wu Ming sat up from the ground. Say it, I'm your childhood sweetheart. Jehan blushed a little. She sat next to Wu Ming and hugged her knees with both hands. Actually, I heard the voice of the Lord. Wu Ming didn't say anything. The Lord said, "Why do people fight?" Wu Ming still didn't say anything. The Lord told me I can stop this dispute. I want to stop this war. Wu Ming still didn't say anything. It's just a little scared. Is my ability enough? Let's do it together. The girl named Jehan looked at Wu Ming in surprise. I don't feel safe letting a village girl like you go to the battlefield. Since we used to take a bath together, I'll protect you. Wu Ming smiled at Jehan, showing his white teeth. What are you talking about? We took a bath when we were very young. It doesn't count. Jehan blushed. How can it not count? Jehan, are you going to abandon me? I'm prepared to marry you when I grow up. Wu Ming showed a smug smile. What? I'm not ready yet. No. The girl struggled to get up and ran into the distance. As Wu Ming laughed, the girl hid under a tree and put her hands over her heart. After the war, I can consider it. Chapter 57. After that, the boy and the girl left the village and headed for an important city in France. After a long and dangerous journey, the boy and the girl became a member of the army. The girl got the command of the army because God's revelation was verified. With the help of the boy's wisdom and advice, the girl won one battle after another. In the end, even without the boy, the girl kept winning. And because of the boy's outstanding military talent and powerful force, soon, his status in the army rose and caught up with the girl. In this way, King Charles VII, who was helped by the girl and the boy, divided the French army into two parts and gave them to the boy and the girl. In this way, in less than 2 years, most of the invaders were driven out of France by the efforts of the boy and the girl. The people called the boy Celestial General Sodric and the girl Saint Joan. And when the invaders were driven out, the girl was captured and slandered as a witch. The British authorities decided to execute the girl in Rouen, France, by burning her at the stake. After the boy failed to get the support of the French nobles and the king, he left the army and went to rescue the girl alone. When the boy came to the execution ground, the girl was already deep in the sea of fire, and the boy directly rushed into the sea of fire and hugged the girl. In the end, the boy and the girl were burned together. Only then did France manage to drive out all the invaders from England. The French king conferred the title of a general to commemorate the boy's achievements. And the girl, after being slandered as a witch, was canonized as a saint in Vatican City hundreds of years later. At this moment, the boy opened his eyes with tears in his martyr's palace. Jehan. As if it was just a moment ago, Wu Ming's eyes were still filled with tears. As if it was a long time ago, Wu Ming's eyes were full of confusion. Seriously, if you want to make history a mere figurehead, then so be it. Why did you give me such an annoying identity? Wu Ming wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes. I said before that I won't cry anymore, but I cried again. Ha, Wu Ming laughed at himself. But I heard the last sentence clearly, Jehan. All right, let's see if there's any place where I need to be summoned. Wu Ming sat on his seat in the martyr's palace and closed his eyes to sense the surroundings. This could be considered Wu Ming's privilege. Other heroic spirits could only be summoned passively, but Wu Ming could choose to take the initiative. As for Wu Ming, he only needed an opportunity to appear on his own. Lord, Wu Ming opened his eyes. Yes, that's Jehan's voice. Since he didn't need to pay attention to the heroic spirit's body in the Valhalla, Wu Ming prepared to directly descend his consciousness into the servant's body. Wu Ming's body began to glow. Then, as if he had fallen asleep, Wu Ming closed his eyes. In a certain cemetery, there was a middle-aged man with 3 scars on his face. His name was Lion Jelly. He was a magician and was holding a ceremony. Thy body shall be my life, and my fate shall be thy sword. In accordance with the Holy Grail's request, if you are willing to abide by this principle, then respond. I hereby swear. I am the one who becomes all the good in the world. I am the one who suppresses all the evil in the world. Thou, bound by the 3 spirits of words for 7 days. Wheel of self-restraint, come forth. Guardian of Libra. The magic formation in front of him produced a large amount of storms that constantly impacted everything around him. Lion Jieli raised his arms to cover his eyes and head. After a while, the smoke slowly dispersed, revealing the person standing in the magic formation. A knight wearing a white armor with red patterns and holding a red magic sword stood there. The knight's helmet began to disintegrate and scattered around the armor like a machine, revealing a pretty face with a single golden ponytail. There was an unruly smile on her pretty face. I ask you, are you my master? However, Lion Jieli in front of the female knight didn't speak. Instead, he looked at her with a shocked expression. The female knight was a little puzzled and looked at Lion Jieli fiercely. Say something, bastard. He is surprised that he can summon 2 servants at once, Mordred. What? A voice came from behind Mordred. Mordred didn't seem to know that there was someone behind her. She hurriedly jumped away and raised the magic sword in her hand. You are? How is that possible? As if she saw an incredible existence, Mordred cried out in surprise. Wu Ming was wearing a silver white armor. He followed Mordred's example and opened up his dragon head helmet. Long time no see, Mordred. To Wu Ming's surprise, Mordred was summoned in this Holy Grail war, and she was with him. No, it should be, I followed Mordred here. So that's how it is. That opportunity is you, little Mordred. Don't give me such a disgusting name. What the hell is going on? Villo Theranced. Although Mordred's tone was still bad, she put down the weapon in her hand. What? Is this the Villo knight known as the Silver Dragon of Britain? Lion Jieli on the side was very surprised. No, master, I summoned Sodric Villo Essi as a saber. Huh? Sodric? Are you kidding me? Mordred obviously didn't believe it. Could it be that the legend of heavenly commander Sodlek is true? Jie said. What is the legend, master? Mordred asked. Lion Jieli swallowed and looked at Wuming nervously. Legend has it that the young Sodlek, who joined the army together with Joan of Arc, became the highest-ranking general in France in less than 2 years with his innate martial prowess and strategic command ability. He was loved and respected by the French people. But Lion Jieli didn't dare to say it. After all, if the person in front of him was really Sodric, it would be taboo. No problem, master, please continue. Afterward, Lion Jieli continued. Before joining the army, Sodric was ambushed by the British royal family. In the Alps, he battled with the demonic dragon transformed from the legendary silver dragon of Britain, Vero Sealandhood. Sodric killed the demonic dragon with his bravery and intellect. He obtained the armor and weapons of the demonic dragon's guardian and bathed in the dragon's blood. His physical strength was greatly enhanced, and he could block sharp weapons with his body. However, at some point in time, rumors began to circulate among the people that Sodric had been possessed by a demonic dragon and that his body had been taken over. That's why Sodric was burned together with Joan of Arc, who was sentenced to be the saintess at that time. Huh? Are you serious? Who are you? Mordred shouted at Wuming. Of course, I am me, Mordred. Villo is me, Sodric is me, and the demon dragon is me. Wuming's eyes were glowing red, looking at Mordred and Lion Jieli. Lion Jieli suddenly regretted using the round table fragment as a holy relic to summon. Looking at the situation, he might die before seeing the black servant. Chapter 58. Mordred protected Liao Jieli and pointed her sword at Wuming with both hands. Wuming looked at the two with a smile. Both sides were on the verge of fighting. Then Wuming spoke. Okay, I'm kidding. After all, the magician behind you is not only your master, but also my master. Speaking of this, Lion Jieli realized that the other party had also been calling him master all this time. Looking at his hand, Lion Jieli exclaimed in surprise. Are you for real? I actually have 6 command incantations. Wuming and Mordred both looked at Liao Jieli's hand. Liao Jieli's left and right hands had a red pattern similar to blood clots. Each pattern was composed of 3 lines, and the thickness and shape of each line were different. That is the command seal. Normally, there should only be 3 command incantations, but having 6 command incantations meant that Jie Jieli had 2 servants. Well, for the time being, just think of me as a reincarnated Villo Knight. That's it, please advise me, master. And you can perceive the connection between us, can't you, Mordred? Yes. Mordred didn't say anything, but she was very unhappy. After removing the sword and armor in a very unhappy manner, he turned around and said to Jie Jieli, My real name is Mordred. Nice to meet you, master. Then Wuming also officially reported his name. My real name is Sodlek. Please take care of me, master. Please advise me, my name is Liao Jieli. Liao Jieli said helplessly. Let's not talk about the 2 servants you summoned. You actually summoned a knight of the round table in this place? Are you a necromancer? Mordred crossed her arms and said with a look of disgust. Yes. My childhood was accompanied by corpses. Speaking of which, King Arthur's son Mordred is actually a girl. Hey, master, you'd better not say that word, otherwise, I don't know what Mordred will do. Wuming interrupted Liao Jieli. Looking at Mordred, who was looking at him coldly, Liao Jieli swallowed his saliva. I know. So, what is your wish? Liao Jieli first looked at Mordred. Of course, I want to challenge you to pull out that sword, but I think with my qualifications, I will definitely pull it out. Mordred said with a proud face. How is that possible? Wuming accidentally laughed. What did you say? Villo, believe it or not, I'll kill you. After saying that, Mordred was about to condense a sword and slash at Wu Ming. The position of king has already been decided. Mordred, it doesn't mean that just because you have the right to be king, you can pick her up. Jie on the side, the side. Why do you say that? You also know that I was a knight during King Yosef's time. As the strongest knight at that time, King Yosef naturally told me about the next king. Wu Ming looked at Liu Jie, then looked at Mordred and continued. To be precise, even if I tried to pull out the sword, I could pull it out. The reason why I couldn't pull it out was because Merlin cast a spell, making everyone who tried to pull it out at that time unable to do so. Only my king could pull it out. Hearing this, Liu Jie was dumbfounded. What? It was Merlin who interfered. Mordred expressed that she was very angry. However, to pull out that sword, having the qualifications of a king is the most important thing. At that time in Camelot, other than my king and me, no one else had the qualifications of a king. However, if you win the Holy Grail, you can try. Mordred, I have to tell you, you are not inferior to my king. My king didn't accept you because she knew you couldn't bear the fate of Britain. These words caused Mordred to fall into silence. Then, as the first knight of King Arthur, the Villeau, and as the general of France in the 100 Years' War, what do you wish for? Liu Jie asked. Wu Ming smiled. I participated in the Holy Grail War this time because I have something to do with a servant, so strictly speaking, I don't have a wish. Huh! Liu Jie cried out in surprise. After all, in Liu Jie's view, whether it was the Knight Villeau or the General of France, they were all tragic figures. The former became a demonic dragon because of the curse of the Black Magician and was sealed. The latter was slandered by the British royal family and was rumored to be a demonic dragon. In the end, he was burned to death with Joan of Arc. Therefore, in Liu Jie's view, it was a bit unrealistic for Wu Ming to say that he had no wish. Well, after all, I haven't died, so I don't have any wish that can be fulfilled with the Holy Grail. What? Liu Jie looked at Wu Ming in surprise. This time, even Mordred looked at Wu Ming with a surprised face. After all, it was strange to become a heroic spirit without dying. Well, after all, I'm not a human, so I didn't die. I'll tell you this story when I have the chance in the future. Shouldn't we go and meet the other Red Masters first? Yes, the supervisor of the Holy Church and the Red Master sent me a message before, asking me to go to a church somewhere to find him. Then let's go, Master. In this way, under Mordred's complaint and Liu Jie's helpless expression, the three of them began to move toward the designated location. Sighisoara, Romania, a small church on a mountain. Liu Jie walked in alone. Wu Ming and Mordred both turned into spirits and followed behind Liu Jie. After entering the church, the first thing he saw was a white-haired young priest. The agreed place is here, right? Did you call me here? Although it was a question, it was a tone of certainty. The priest heard someone come in and turned his head. Nice to meet you, I'm Shiro Kotomine. White hair, dark skin, a black priest's outfit, a cross ornament hanging on his chest. This was a person who, whether it was his voice or his personality, would give people a feeling of peace. I'm Liu Jie. I'll skip the self-introduction. Well, then the servants around you are a bit abnormal. Did you find Codric? Liu Jie thought. Wu Ming told Liu Jie that he just followed Mordred to the world. It was also because of his own skills, so he didn't need Liu Jie to provide much magic power. He just needed to maintain the contract. After all, without a contract, the servants couldn't appear. The servant I summoned is a little special. Forgive me for my lack of manners. Of course, no problem. This is also your privacy. Mordred, who noticed that something was wrong, removed her spirit form and revealed her body in full armor. Through the contract, Mordred sent a message to Liu Jie. Annoying aura, let me be like this for the time being. Liu Jie looked at Mordred and didn't speak. Wu Ming also appeared. He was clad in white full-body armor, a helmet that resembled a dragon's head, and a cape that was used as a decoration. He gave off a rather reliable feeling. Wu Ming and Mordred stood on the left and right side of Liu Jieli. Then, I'll come out here too, Feng Shiro said. A woman in black clothes who looked very sinister appeared behind Feng Shiro. This sinister woman was also a servant. I'm assassin, my real name is Semiramis. She gave Wu Ming a feeling of seeing Morgan Le Fay. Immediately, Feng Shiro and Liu Jieli sat on the chair in the church and began a short conversation. After that, Liu Jieli said that he wanted to act alone. So, you're not going to act with other masters? Are you not used to group battles? Feng Shiro asked. Yes, and I have enough power here, so I'm not going to act with you, Liu Jieli said calmly. After that, Liu Jieli got up and walked toward the door. I wish you a prosperous martial arts, Mr. Liu Jieli. Liu Jieli opened the door and walked out. Thank you for your blessing. Peng dash. The door closed. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.